Let's get nasty here on a Tuesday afternoon. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Carey Davis, Andrew Marsh, Jamie Rivers here. Anthony Stalter, again, out until Friday. Boys, we've got a champion.
Oh.
Woo! We have got a champion.
You called it, Jamie.
Woo! Just like I planned it, too. Win 3, lose 3, win at home in dramatic fashion.
Hey, what you said?
That's not really what I said. The problem is, Carey, we went over this yesterday, is that they literally listened to me when I said Panthers in 3.
They stopped playing.
They stopped playing. I said, well, Jamie said it's over in 3.
It was over. You said it.
I know.
And they listened to
Take full responsibility for that.
And then they found a way to finish it off.
They did. They did.
Night.
What a sight last night in South Florida. Well, I guess we'll get into that at 2:15. We'll talk about the Panthers, Matthew Tkachuk, Big Walt, Brady, the whole clan down there. But first, boys, we got a lineup for a winning Cardinals team, Carey.
I mean, 4 in a row.
Oh, what are you going to say now?
3 games above 500.
It's just the Braves?
It's not 5 games. I reserve the right to be patient.
You do,
until it's 5
but that
games.
is 4 wins in a row.
It is 4. It's good. 4 wins.
It is
awesome.
good.
Great. I'm still going to wait.
All right, I don't like your attitude, but we'll work on it, okay?
Right, I'm sorry.
We'll work on it.
I'm trying.
All right, so who's on the bump here for the Braves today? Some guy that nobody can barely hit, Lopez, right? I think he's at like a 1-point-something ERA.
Ronaldo Lopez. He is a RHP.
Yeah.
You don't have to call him names, Marcy.
Yeah, I don't know what that is referring to, Marshy, but I'm sure he doesn't appreciate it, okay?
Would you like me to call him an LHP?
I don't know what that, just, how about we just call him Ronaldo?
There you go.
Ronaldo, the right-handed pitcher.
There
All
you
right.
go.
There we go.
There you go.
I like that.
RRHP.
Oh.
Right.
Ronaldo, the
Right-hand pitcher.
RTRH.
It's my game.
I'm sorry.
All right, so anyways, pretty good pitcher. Cardinals. Are they
Pretty good team.
Yeah.
You watch your mouth, Jamie.
Wow.
Pretty good team.
I like that.
Huh?
Okay.
Not gonna put the glasses on yet.
Not yet, but you're getting close.
You're getting there.
I know you keep dragging him closer to you. All right. Any surprises here at
It's
the
Mason Wynn.
leadoff?
Show us Mason Wynn.
What if he's tired? Who's going to sore back?
He'll be okay. He's young.
That's what we said before.
He's okay.
Show us Mason Wynn.
I'm watching the Futures game, and this thing's all over Instagram. It's like, this guy threw a ball 100 across the. That's awesome, but like, how many throwing errors does he have?
Shut up.
All right. I don't think there's any reason to overthink this. Show us Alec Burleson.
Kind of closed my eyes and swung at it and did what I wanted to do.
Bully to the rescue!
Okay, now this is where it's going to get muddy. Because is Goldie back in?
Well, I think it's Goldie. I think you go Goldie, Contreras, Arenado. If Arenado is.
If
he's.
Do we know if he's in, Marshy?
He can't tell us.
I guess
I
can't
know.
tell.
I'm not going to say anything.
That's right, because he's not officially. Well, because he's not officially on the
He's
IL.
day to day, right?
Yeah, I don't like that. We could be in here for another hour.
We could be. Let's
All
not
right.
do what we did yesterday.
No, go ahead.
That's terrible. Show us. Are we doing RL Chalk? Show
Yeah.
us Paul Goldschmidt.
You are so wrong.
Wow, they're benching Goldie again.
Nah, I think he's playing. Let's just go Wilson Contreras here, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Show us Wilson Contreras.
DH.
No.
Check. I think it's probably Goldie here.
Have that.
You think?
Yeah, sure. You get 2 days off? No.
Or is it Gorman?
No. He's probably.
He got a base
further
hit for
back.
me yesterday, though.
You didn't pick him. Oh, you
did
picked him for the lineup.
Don't you
I'm
lie
talking
to me.
about
You know I
the
keep receipts,
I was talking
Carey.
about the bet the board pick.
I got the bet the board
You
pick.
didn't pick him for bet the board.
No,
Yeah.
I won that too. Had a good night. I know, poor guy. All right.
She went under.
Who do we say here? RL Chalk? No, is that?
Yeah.
No, we
that's
said.
what you said.
All right, show us Paul Goldschmidt.
Gold! Rich with gold!
Kind of got lost halfway through that.
So this is either Nolan Arenado,
Or Nolan Gorman.
or Brendan Donovan.
Yeah.
If those other two aren't playing, I would go Arenado first.
See,
then
I don't think
Gorman.
Arenado's playing.
All right, then you have at it.
I feel like we would have heard throughout the day that Arenado's like taking BP and like, you know what I'm
You
saying?
would have heard that if he wasn't playing either.
True. Both things can be true.
I want you to pick.
All right. Show us Nolan Gorman.
You're wrong.
Son of a...
Show us Nolan Arenado.
You are so wrong.
It's the third person.
Okay, so here's where we start to spiral.
It's Donnie.
You think?
Yeah, it was him. It was him in the 5-hole yesterday, I believe.
I don't know. Let me check my receipts here.
Check your.
Donnie was definitely in the 5-hole
go.
last night. Yeah. It's a good spot for him.
That's a good spot.
Okay.
Show us Brendan Donovan.
Donnie.
Hey, this headband's pretty cool.
All right. So at this point, are we assuming that Arenado's not
Yes,
playing?
he's not playing.
Okay.
He would be somewhere in the top 5 if he were playing.
So there's right hand. I think this is Gorman here at 6.
You love Gorman.
I do.
You love your popcorn.
I do. Show us. Get your popcorn ready.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, so Gorman must be out then.
He's not playing today.
Why would you do that?
What do you mean?
right.
This is when it gets tough for us.
Well, yeah, because is Contreras DH or is he catching?
That's always
Be a lot to ask him to catch 2 days in a row.
Okay, so you think this is Matt Carpenter then, as your DH? You like Carp.
Yeah.
You like Carp.
Go ahead.
Hey, you have it.
Show us. Matt Carpenter?
What a shame.
It really is. It really is. Son of a...
Dylan Carlson. I mean, this is why it gets to for me.
Well, we need a second baseman.
Brandon Crawford.
Brandon Crawford, but he's playing third base probably.
Good grief.
So we don't.
All right.
I think it's Jose Fermin. Show us the Ferminator.
What the H is wrong
right.
with you guys?
We need Anthony here. Show us Brandon Crawford.
Oh no, that's too high for him. CD, you panicked.
I did.
You
I love
panicked.
it. I love it. I hit the button.
Crawford at
Push
6.
the button. Push the button.
Son of a. All right.
Well, you act like there are a lot of choices after the first 5 hitters.
There's not.
There's not.
There's not. So who's at 6 though?
Maybe it's.
Who we
Do
missing?
you think Nolan Arenado is batting 6th?
Try. Why not try?
Show us Nolan Arenado.
He's a gold glove.
Oh my God.
Oh, listen to Mr. Gold Glove over here.
Okay. Well, that helps us out a little bit.
That's intriguing. You bumped him down?
Well, he's coming off an injury. So that's an easy excuse.
That's
Plus, he's not swinging the bat very good, Carey.
You got Donnie in front of him?
Yeah. Right now, absolutely.
See how he feels about that.
Yeah. Well, then do something.
You don't like it, play better. That's what they say.
Okay.
You need a second baseman. This might be Gorman.
It could be. Show us the popcorn.
Get your organic popcorn.
Get your popcorn ready.
Carey, we're mounting a comeback here.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I think this is Pajes.
You think he's playing?
Well, he's got to play.
You don't think Contreras is able to catch 2 days in a row?
Well, I don't know if they'd want him to catch 2 days in a row.
I mean, it's not like he broke
Actually,
his arm.
well-
It's healed. It's not like you're going to break it again.
All right.
Unless he gets hit
Hey.
by
Okay, so hang on then.
It's not.
Hey, don't say it.
So we have Burleson,
Right field.
Donnie, left field. We need a center fielder.
That'll be Siani.
We need a third baseman. This is Crawford here. We need a third baseman. No, we
got
don't.
Arenado playing.
We're going to let Arenado play third base today. What do we need? We got first, second, shortstop. We get the infield
you got the
covered.
infield.
All right, so we need...
A DH, and you need. So I would say Pajes maybe. I'm okay with that.
Show us Petey Pages.
He didn't move his hand. Normally,
I didn't like that at all.
Dylan Carlson.
Well,
Nope.
hang on.
Nope.
We need a DH then.
You do need a DH.
Matt Carpenter.
All right.
Show us
He loves Mark.
Carpos.
Behalf of the veterans
There.
and new
Carey, you're going too fast today. Like, I love your
I've been told that.
enthusiasm. I like it, okay?
Slow down a little bit.
Just slow down. Sometimes,
one
Carey,
speed, Jamie.
it's not all about how fast you can go or how fast you can do it. It's sometimes you want to slow it down and do it right.
Speed. I am speed.
All right. This is got to be Siani.
Yes. Show us Michael Siani.
Michael.
Oh, my gosh.
Michael.
You're not Michael Phelps. You're Michael Cera.
I wonder if Anthony is listening to us and just putting his
Puking.
head down.
He vomited
every
3
time we do
times
the
a week.
lineup game. He's like, oh, bro.
It's like Aaron Rodgers being away from the Jets,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He's in a different state.
You saying Anthony is in a dark room
With a
by
bunch of
himself?
hands
I don't
all over
know.
him?
With hands all over him?
No.
Lucky guy.
Hundreds of hands all over my
Well, they're
body.
his ancestors. It's kind of weird.
Anthony's not a big fan of Aaron Rodgers.
No. All right, run it down.
All right, leading off the shortstop, Mason Wynn batting second. In right field, Alec Burleson batting third, catching Wilson Contreras. Your cleanup hitter, first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt batting fifth. In left field, Brendan Donovan batting sixth. The third baseman, Arenado batting seventh. Second baseman, Nolan Gorman batting eighth. Your DH, Matt Carpenter, and batting ninth in center field, Michael Ciani.
Back. Stay fair! Stay fair!
Go foul, go foul!
I don't believe what I just saw!
Home run.
All right, nothing to talk about from last night. So why don't we refresh the memory of our listeners? Marshy?
So you and I are tied at 13 apiece on the season. Carey, you are in second place, and Anthony is in last place. And we do have Anthony's picks today. So, Jamie, I'll let you go first.
All right, so Carey, see this here? The series.
Is he printing you out a
Serious?
sheet? Come on.
That's what I said when I saw
Oh
it.
my! Are you serious, Jackson? We have to have a conversation.
Hey, he's a dedicated.
He's printing.
He's a bench
out-
player for the fast lane. Okay.
He's printed more stuff out for Jamie than I think he has for himself on his own show.
Well, here's what I like about it is his enthusiasm to call it something. Too. He calls it Piddles Predicts in bold letters with an exclamation point. So he talks about Ronaldo Lopez and how good he is. 54 or 57% of the time he throws a four-seam fastball that he can dot anywhere. He basically doesn't get hit off of for home runs.
Okay.
But he says Cardinals most likely to hit a dinger. And he says just likely. Nolan Gorman. His numbers against righty sliders are good. He also excels at barreling sliders, and Lopez's favorite place to throw that pitch. So I'm going to go with Nolan Gorman. Piddles predicts.
Did he only give you one name?
Yep. Sorry, Gary.
I just knew you were going to run off 2 or 3 names.
Oh, there's another one.
Sure. I was going to pick the other one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, it ain't my
He
pick.
said Ciani.
I don't think he said Michael Ciani.
Well, that's funny you say that because I am up next, and
Did he give you a sheet too?
No, he did not.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to pick a guy that I don't think is on that sheet, and you just said his name because why wouldn't Michael Ciani hit a home run against this guy, right? That's just how I feel. I don't need statistics. I just need that gut feeling. That gut feeling that everyone's talking about, right? Too many numbers. We need that gut feeling, and that's what I have tonight with Michael Ciani.
Good for you.
I'm going to go with Wilson Contreras again. Did last night. He's going to get him one. He's got to get one.
Soon. What does our guy Antoine got?
All right, so Anthony will take Matt Carpenter tonight.
Wow.
His top choice was Wilson Contreras. However, it has been taken.
Sorry about your luck, Anthony. All right, that's your Cardinals lineup. They tonight first pitch at what, 7-ish?
I think it's 6.
6-ish?
I believe.
Whatever. It's first pitch at some point tonight.
6:45, gentlemen.
6:45. There it is.
6:45.
All right, the Florida Panthers did something for the very first time in franchise history last night. We're going to get into that next here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Gentlemen, if you're wanting to start to feel better about yourself as you get older and you age, Visit my friends over at Mentality. I was going through a rut, was putting on a lot of weight, and couldn't get in for workouts, didn't want to, didn't have the motivation. I was tired all the time, couldn't figure out why. So I visited Mentality, walked in there, the board-certified physicians. They sat down with me. I did a fantastic job of asking the right questions. And by the end of it all, we did a blood panel. And the blood panel showed that I was low in testosterone, deficient in a few other vitamins. This is why I was feeling so terrible. Mentality got me on my own program, and things started to change within 5 to 6 days. It was unreal. Energy levels up, motivated, back into the gym, losing weight, putting on muscle, feeling like I used to feel, 10, 15 years ago. I want that for you. Visit them at their South County location or their Chesterfield location. When you walk in, tell them that Jamie and Anthony sent you in. I promise you they're going to take great care of you. And it's also covered by most insurance programs, so there's no excuse. Get into Mentality today in person or visit them online at lowtusa.com. Again, that's Mentality.
Seconds to go. One last gasp for Edmonton. Bouchard's pass didn't click with Draisaitl. 12 seconds to go. Florida trying to end it up against the wall, which would be fitting. 3 seconds to go. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
Quite a moment last night for the Florida Panthers as the time ticking down. We hear Sean McDonough on the call there from ESPN. Jamie Rivers here, Carey Davis, Andrew Marsh. And gentlemen, the Panthers have finally done it.
They did. It took a while.
They made it dramatic, and they certainly drug it out. But last night, it was just different.
Yeah.
You could tell in the first period, they were playing fast. They were getting pucks in. They were hitting. The physicality was back again. And Paul Maurice said something very fun following the game. He said they were just playing free.
Right.
And he said they weren't playing not to lose. They were playing to win. And I think that, we talked about that, Carey, how when they're up 3-0, it's not that they're not playing to win, but there's a part of them is playing not to lose because it's one game left.
Right.
And they did. They played a different style of game. It was more tight. It wasn't as dynamic. The physicality had almost disappeared. And last night, you could tell that the team, I didn't know what the outcome was going to be because there's so many variables in a game, especially of that magnitude. But you could tell the Florida Panthers were a different team than the last 3 games that they had played before that.
Yeah, that was, that style they played last night was how they played the first 3 games. They were more physical, more attacking, more aggressive. It had more energy. And I think just games 4, 5, and 6, you could see the stress of knowing that this win is we're champions. And it weighed on them. And Edmonton played into that. They allowed Edmonton to get back into the series, which they did. They used their skill set. But Florida last night did what you said they should do. Be the more physical team, be the more pressing team, up on you all the time and not allowing you any space, because when you have great athletes, what do they want? They want space. They want room to move and roam, and if you remove that from their game, it's hard for them to have success, and that's what Florida did last night. For the life of me, how they got away from that for 3 games, it scared me, because it's like you are putting yourself in a position to not win a championship when it's right there, but last night they got back to their game, and it was good for them, good for the city of Florida, for the state of Florida, and for that organization.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. And Carey, you asked me a question yesterday. I believe you said if Connor McDavid isn't, or maybe it was you, Marshy, isn't a factor in the game, who is?
Yeah.
And I said Stuart Skinner.
Yeah.
And here's why I feel like that was the right answer. Bobrovsky, first shot or third shot, he faced a breakaway. Sorry, Marshy, about your bet.
Lost again.
But then after that, Bobrovsky was unbeatable.
Yeah.
He made some friggin' saves. Dropped his stick, spinning around on his back, windmill kicks, like unbelievable saves. Stuart Skinner was solid, but the Stanley Cup championship goal that beat him by Reinhart, not a great goal. Not a great goal.
Bad defense, too. You cannot give up the blue line.
They gave up so they ran a great play on that one. And for people who go back and watch that last goal, the middle lane drive is always so important when creating offense at the offensive blue line. If the Panthers don't have a middle lane drive, the defenseman doesn't have to respect that player. He can step up and take away Reinhart at the blue line, which he should have done anyways. They should have just slid over. Left D, get aggressive. Right D, take away the middle of the ice. You did have a back checker coming the other side. You would have been fine.
Right.
But they didn't. They took the guy driving through the middle of the ice, and what that does, it pushed the bodies back towards the net, gave Reinhart a chance to enter the zone with full control of the puck, and then get himself into a pretty good scoring area, which was right at the dot. And he took a shot, not a great shot, but it beat Stuart Skinner through the arm.
That's what I thought, through right on his arm.
Looked like it handcuffed him.
Which is a goal that I'm sure Stuart Skinner would like back.
He's going to dream about that for the rest of his life.
He's going to see that every single time they show that Panthers victory. He's going to see that goal. So, although he played a very good game and his last 4 games were incredible, that goal, the one squeaker, is the difference. They're Stanley Cup champions. So, I look at that and I look at Matthew Tkachuk last night. Matthew Tkachuk gets an assist on the first goal. He was very noticeable out there. Barkov was very noticeable out there. Forsling was very noticeable. Like, you had some key guys that really elevated their game, and it was awesome. It was such a proud moment it should be for the whole city of St. Louis to have someone like Matthew Tkachuk go in there and win the Cup. In his first 2 years, he brings the team to a Stanley Cup final. Second year, delivers and brings a Stanley Cup to South Florida, which, by the way, the partying is still going. You can follow a bunch of people on Twitter. You'll see that they're having a pretty good time.
As they
Big
should.
Walt included.
Yeah.
So, but Matthew Tkachuk following the game last night, he's always very well thought out, well spoken, and that's a credit to Chantal, their mother, and to Big Walt. They've raised these kids the right way. They're smart, they're intelligent, and they say the right things. But it's always fun to hear from these guys when they win a championship. And here's what Matthew had to say.
Yeah, it's so special to be able to win in the fashion we did, Game 7 at home. It's incredible. Never a doubt. Brady flew in today, landed at 2. I get a text. Flight's about to leave, ... Cats at 7. So everybody knew. I'm just so thankful for Bill for bringing me down here. the culture of teammates. The teammates are so incredible, and most people have no clue what you go through in a playoff run like this. This is our 106th game. It's just insane just insane what we're going through night in and night out, and there's no better group of guys to do it with and for. You see the emotion, it's real. I'm so happy for the guys.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Tonight is all about him, all about his work that he's put in. It's all about the sacrifice that he's made, and I couldn't be more proud to be, his brother tonight, and I can't wait to celebrate with him, and I know down the road he's going to do this for me. So it's, one Kachuk in the cup tonight. I know there's going to be another Kachuk down the road. So, you know what? It's our childhood dream.
If anybody's built for playoffs.
Yeah, he sure is.
Let's get him.
Playoff player in the league. So
no, but
looking forward to watching that.
But tonight's all about him. Tonight's all about the sacrifice he made, and you know what? I just can't be more excited and more happy for him to be a part of it. And then tonight's gonna be a night of celebrate.
Tell you what, I can guarantee you there will be zero sleep in the Kachuk household for at least 3 days.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's awesome.
I know the family very well. They're an amazing group of people. They deserve to celebrate. But here's what I heard in that. All the great things that he said. But what really stands out to me is what, in my opinion, has created the biggest difference in Florida, and it will in Ottawa. Mm-hmm. Matthew Tkachuk talking about his teammates and talking about everything else. And then Brady comes on, and Brady says, no, this is about Matthew.
Right.
And as he's talking about Matthew, Matthew says, if anybody's built for the playoffs, it's my brother.
Right.
We're going to do this. Like, they're sitting there, like, backing each other because it's not normal for them to take the spotlight or take the praise.
Right.
They take the spotlight with their play. That's the main thing. I just thought it was a really awesome moment at the end of the game to see those two on the ice, so happy. Obviously, the rest of the Tkachuk family, so proud of Matthew. It's a night I won't forget. And I don't think people in St. Louis will forget it because Matthew, although born technically in Arizona, raised here in St. Louis. He's one of ours.
And ultimately, it was a great game. I think bottom line, that is what we wanted to see. And it was a great game from start to finish. If you're a casual fan, those first 2 goals right off the bat, you're like, oh my goodness, what am I getting myself into? It was fantastic all the way to the final 10 minutes of the game. And then, of course, you get to see Lord Stanley be presented, and you get to see a guy like Matthew Tkachuk celebrate with his dad, his brother, his entire family. So that was definitely really special, especially, like you said, Jamie, if you're from St. Louis, you take a lot of pride in that. St. Louis, people have a ton of pride in their city.
Well, I mean, especially like the family and the friends of that family that know him, that have been there, watched him grow up. Like you've seen, all of it for essentially. So you're happy for people that you're familiar with, and that when they reach the ultimate goal, because every child, every man or woman that plays a professional sports, I can guarantee you they've had that dream of holding that championship trophy, and to be able to hold it up and it's mine, I got it, we did it. It's one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And, we're going to get into a couple other topics throughout the show when it comes to the Oilers and specifically the Panthers. We're going to break down how the Panthers went from where they were to where they are now, and also how much of a difference it was for the Panthers to take a chance and go get Tkachuk, because they gave up a lot to bring that guy there. And now, obviously, all of it was worth it. So congratulations again to the Florida Panthers, and especially Matthew Tkachuk and the Tkachuk family. Just an awesome feeling for them, an awesome moment. So anyways, when we get back here, we're going to jump back to the Cardinals. Andrew, you said something funny yesterday. I don't forget, it was on the air or off the air, but you talked about Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, and you had some feelings regarding them. We'll get into that next here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals picked up a 4-3 victory last night against the Atlanta Braves. They'll take on Atlanta once again tonight as Kyle Gibson takes the mound going up against Ronaldo Lopez. First pitch is at 6:45. Also last night, Game 7 of the NHL Stanley Cup final. The Florida Panthers defeated the Edmonton Oilers 2-1, and Florida goes home with their first ever Stanley Cup in franchise history. We'll continue talking about the Cardinals. We'll continue talking about the Florida Panthers, the Edmonton Oilers. We'll even throw your St. Louis Blues in there as well with our discussions. So stay tuned for that. We're going to dive into what we saw last night that did not include Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. That's coming your way next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
It's a Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. And before the break, we talked about Goldschmidt and Arenado. Neither guy played last night. The Cardinals beat a very good Atlanta Braves team. But our guy Marshy, Carey, he sent a tweet to our group chat. And it's from a Kyle Reese on Twitter or X. And here's what it said. The current state of the Cardinals is really interesting. Has there been a time in the last couple of years when both Goldschmidt and Arenado weren't in the lineup at the same time and none of us really cared? What does that make you feel like? Because watching that game last night, and
you didn't miss them?
I wasn't even thinking about them.
That probably says all that you need to say. It's you're comfortable with Burley at first base, who made a great catch early in the game. Jumped. I mean, if he was 5'10", he probably doesn't catch it because he didn't get very high.
Burley got up there.
He's tall. So it helped him. It helped him. But he made a great play over there at first. Do you miss them? I think that's more of a. What have you? This is the business we're in, and Janet Jackson was just in town. What have you done for me lately? That's not Janet Jackson. That's Paul Abdul.
Yeah. No.
Isn't that Paul Abdul?
No, that's Janet. What have you done for me?
That is Janet Jackson. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
That is Janet. Yeah. So you're
welcome.
No problem. Thank you for that. What have you? Yeah. He doesn't even know who those people are, does he?
Well, I definitely know who Janet Jackson is.
You don't know who Paul Abdul is, huh?
Of course I do. She was on American Idol.
No, she was also here the other night at the amphitheater.
Janet was, not
and Paula.
Was she here
next night, back to back?
Really?
Janet Jackson and then Paula Abdul and the New Kids on the Block.
Really? Didn't know she was here.
Yeah, my girlfriend went to that show.
Learn something new every day. Yeah. But either way, them not being in the lineup was not. It didn't feel like you missed them. I think you probably would miss Nolan more in the field at this point at third base because you still expect him to be a Gold Glove caliber third baseman. But in the lineup, I think that speaks volumes to what they've done this season, which is you expect more from them. You expect more power. You expect more timely hits. You expect big plays from those two guys. Why? Because they are your highest paid players. And people can complain about that. That's the standard. That's the expectation. When you get paid the most, damn it, you got to play the best. That's why you get paid the most. And so if Mason Wynn is outperforming you, if Alec Burleson is outperforming you, that's a problem when you're the highest paid player on a team. And to have both of them out last night and not really, and I'm sure I would love for some texters to text in and tell us what they thought. Did they miss them in the lineup last night? Because like you, I didn't think about it.
I think the biggest difference is that the impact offensively that they're not having in this lineup. Because Goldie's still great defensively. He makes some unbelievable plays at first. Arenado, as much as the defensive game has stumbled a little bit, he still makes plays where you're like, how the heck did he do that? So they're valuable from a defensive standpoint, but you do have people that can kind of fill in. To me, the biggest thing is that when they come to the plate, I don't know if anybody's scared, on the opposing team.
Which is why Nolan Arenado was batting 6th tonight. Probably not a bad place for him, right? Because
he's probably right where he needs to be.
Probably. And if you wanted to move Goldie up, I know you don't want to mix up, you don't want to split up Mason and Burley, but I wouldn't mind having Burley in the 3-hole and having Paul Goldschmidt 2. And if those guys are 2 and 6 based on where they are now in their career, no longer, if they're unable to be your 3, 4, or 5 hitters, which should be your power, I'm okay with that. Because the expectation changes, and you don't have to concern yourself with them having those timely hits, driving in those runners they got on base.
I think going back to the original question or that tweet that you brought up about people maybe not caring, and I don't know if that's everybody or if that is just a few people around St. Louis, but I think that there's so many other, not so many, but there are other players on this roster that are more exciting than those players. So I don't really care to, if I had to choose between, watching an at-bat between Mason Wynn and, Nolan Arenado at this point, I'm picking Mason Wynn.
Every time.
Hell, Alec Burleson, the way he's swinging the bat, I'd rather watch him than Paul Goldschmidt at this point.
Yeah.
That's just how it is, because those guys, like what you said, they're not producing at the rate that we expect them to. They're not being Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado.
Right.
They're not the guys that we envisioned having 3 and 4 in this lineup. They're just not playing that way right now. So that's probably where that tweet came from about people not caring, because there's other players on the roster that I'm more excited watching.
Well, I want to hear from our listeners. So the mic drop feature is available on the 101 ESPN mobile app. We also have a voicemail that's available on the Air Comfort Service text line. That number is 314-399-9646. And here's the question for you, and I want your honest answers. How do you feel, or how did you feel about not having Goldschmidt or Arenado in the lineup last night? Did it impact you in a positive way, a negative way? Did you care? Did you not care? Want to hear from you guys, and we're going to get into that later on in the show. We'll play the mic drops and go over this topic again, because I think it's an interesting debate right now, especially with where the Cardinals are currently in the standings and how they're doing it without the bats of Goldie and Arenado. So it's interesting to think about maybe what you could get. Would the Cardinals even think about that? I'm not sure. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. But coming up next here in the Fast Lane, we've got What's Trending.
what's going on in the sports world with What's Trending Now. Brought to you by Goodwill. Donate a car and get tickets to the St. Louis Cardinals.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN with Jamie Rivers and Carey Davis. I'm Andrew Marsh, and it's time for What's Trending. Gentlemen, we did talk about the Florida Panthers winning the Stanley Cup, and you're probably thinking as you're watching that game, man, I can't wait to see which player on the Panthers is going to go home with the Conn Smythe Trophy. Well, if you stuck around to watch the festivities after the final buzzer, you would find out that Connor McDavid actually won the Conn Smythe Trophy last night. He was one vote away from it being unanimous. Even though he did not have a single point in Games 6 and 7, Connor McDavid wins the Conn Smythe, the MVP for the entirety. Let's make sure everybody knows that it's the entirety of the playoffs. I know a lot of people think it might just be that one singular round. It's the entirety of the playoffs for those that may not know. What are your thoughts on this? And did you like him not coming out to accept the award? Because we've seen it happen before. The last one was J.S. Giguere.
Yeah, him not coming out to get the award, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why he didn't. It's the Panthers are out there, they're celebrating, all, and he's got to now, like J.S. Giguere was interviewed about it a long time ago, and he said it was a really weird feeling. His teammates are all completely shattered.
Yep.
And he's, getting an award for being the best player in the playoffs. He's like, Giguere said, I dropped it off in the trainer's room. I didn't even bring it into the locker room.
Yeah.
So Connor McDavid not being out there to accept the award, it's not that he doesn't have class. Connor McDavid is a tremendous ambassador for the game of hockey. He represents the NHL at a near perfect level when it comes to on and off the ice. So I don't think it was a lack of class. I think it was a weird situation. I think he was crushed. I think that, he probably just was like, you know what? It was a big deal. That's not what we came here for.
I mean, who the hell wants to be out there while the other team is celebrating?
Right.
And you just lost. Again, I talked about it earlier. Something you dream about as a child, and to get that close and to come up short, that's an awful feeling. And so I'm sure I don't think it's classless. I think it's actually showing class to not go out there and interrupt their moment. That's their moment. You'll get your trophy. You'll be able to put it on your mantle at home. It'll be a constant reminder that you made it all the way there, but were unable to finish. And maybe that'll be the thing that drives them. But like you said, bringing a trophy. Look what I got, guys.
Yeah.
No. Like, there are moments, like I remember after we won the Super Bowl, but going to talk to Edgerrin James. And that to me was tough for me. Like, I want to be happy about what I just accomplished, but I'm looking at this man's face, who is a future Hall of Famer, first time in the Super Bowl, knowing the Colts had just won it a few years prior and he wasn't on the roster, and to get out, and it's like, man, sorry, bro. Good game, but what do you say? Like, that's a tough situation. So I think he did the right thing by, accepting the award, obviously, but not going out there to accept it.
And as far as him winning it,
what do you think about that?
I don't have an argument that he shouldn't have won it because he had one of the most dominant playoff performances in the history of the game.
Right.
However, I will say that Sergei Bobrovsky, like if we're taking the entire body of work for the playoffs, Sergei Bobrovsky was incredible. He had a little hiccup for 3 games, 2.5 games. He got pulled into one game, and then he even wasn't terrible in the other games. He just didn't win those games. But look at some of the games he had throughout the playoff run. He was unbelievable. You couldn't get a greased BB past this guy. He was making save after save after save. So I was fine with either direction on that. I understand why McDavid got picked, but I also think that Bobrovsky should have had more consideration than what he actually got, considering we're talking about the whole thing. Because if we're going to go and say Bobrovsky had 2.5 bad games, well, McDavid didn't have a point in 6 or 7 in the biggest games of the season. So
And Bob came in 4th, too.
I know Barkov should have been up there, too, which he was. I mean, he did a fantastic job of shutting down, all sorts of guys throughout the playoffs and still contributing offensively.
Which that, I feel like, goes overlooked sometimes when you're looking at these because, obviously, statistics are the things that jump off the page, but it's the things that don't go on the score sheet that really impact what your team does throughout a playoff run, and to me that is what makes a player the most valuable player. But I'm not going to argue against Connor McDavid winning.
It's tough.
Now, we did not bring this up. But Lance Lynn made it through 6 innings. In fact, he went 6 2/3, gave up 4 hits, only 1 run, and struck out 5. Thoughts about Lance Lynn's performance last night against the Atlanta Braves?
Outstanding. And that's what you need. That's what you signed him for. Eat innings, perform well, don't give up. If Lance can get out of the 3rd and 4th inning, he's probably okay. Like normally that's when the blow up happens.
Yeah.
And he performed well. Didn't have one of those blow up innings. Went 6 2/3, only allowed 4 hits, and didn't walk anybody. So that to me is a sign that he's doing well. And I think what I've heard Wayno talk about this in the past. When one pitcher has a successful night like Sonny Gray did, it kind of lights up the entire rotation. Like, hey, all right, let me see if I can go out there and perform to that level or better. And so you get 2 really good performances back to back. Maybe that's a catalyst to allow the next pitcher and then the pitcher after that and the pitcher after that to have, that type of night or that type of outing. That would bode well for this team.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I'm happy for Lance Lynn, happy for the Cardinals. To your point, Carey, this is what you signed him for, is to get out there, eat innings, and perform. He has a history of giving up the long ball. He didn't get himself in too much trouble last night. To your point, no walks. So it's a bonus. And look, if the Cardinals can continue to get this pitching from their rotation, it gives them an opportunity to compete in every ball game.
All right.
There's nothing worse for a team to be out of the ball game in the 2nd or 3rd inning. I know they're not technically out, but when you're down by 4 or 5 runs, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to ask, for sure. So, yeah, good on Lance Lynn for giving us a good performance.
I think the way that I was looking at last night's game was, can this offense score runs against the Braves? But I wasn't really thinking about, can this pitching staff stop Atlanta's offense from scoring runs? And they did a great job last night. Now, Ryan Helsley made it a little interesting.
He's been making a few of these a little interesting lately.
He has. Are we going to talk? Yeah, are we going to get to
the elephant in the room?
At some point, are we going to get to? I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The relievers. You got Helsley, JoJo Romero, and Kittredge, and we've seen it from JoJo a little bit. Doing things that he hasn't done all year. Ryan Helsley, you're leading the league in saves, but it was a little nerve-wracking watching it. And to me, the concern, I don't get concerned about guys hitting the ball, right? They're professional players. They are paid to play. They're going to make contact at times. But when you're walking guys, that to me feels like something may be off. Maybe it's fatigue setting in. Maybe something is showing up that you have to get more from your other relievers. You got to get more from John King. You got to give Liberatore more opportunities. You got to give some of these other guys an opportunity in Raycroft. You got to give these guys opportunities in those high leverage moments because you ain't going to be able to try. We ain't even at the All-Star break yet. And Ryan Helsley's going to be pitching in the All-Star game as well. So he's not going to have a break.
Yeah.
Let's start to think about it. And I'm saying that I'm sure Helsley's going to be the pitcher for the Cardinals, the representative. So let's start to think about this and not because if he goes down, the Cardinals have done a fantastic. Last year they blew so many damn saves. It's part of the reason why they were terrible last year. Which I understand why Ollie is saying, "The hell with you guys. I'm going to go with my horses." But at some point, those guys get worn down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, look, it's just the nature of the business. It's the nature of that spot, too, that position. Those are high-stress innings, or inning, that one to close it out. So, yeah, if Ollie can ultimately find another dance partner that can kind of jump in from time to time there and take some of the stress off of Helsley. Long term, I think that's the best solution.
Right.
Short term, you got to win ball games, man. And it's a tough spot to be in because the manager, we know right now, if Ollie doesn't send in Helsley to win that game and it blows up, why the hell didn't he put Helsley out there?
Right.
But then if Helsley blows out his arm, why the hell did he pitch him so much? You really, like we said yesterday, you can't win as the manager.
You cannot.
You just cannot win. All right, that was what's trending here in the fast lane. We come back. Is the Cardinal Way re-emerging? Ooh, baby. Can't wait to talk about this next on 101 ESPN.
Drove in a run tonight, 2 hits again, but I love that the deciding run was scored on a double steal of home. What does that say about the brand of baseball the Cardinals are playing right now?
Yeah, man, that's the Cardinal way. We're going to continue to put pressure. We're going to run the bases hard. We're going to play the game the right way. And obviously, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But obviously, it worked out tonight, and like you said, it was an exciting run. So it's awesome.
It's a fast lane here, 101 ESPN. That was Alec Burleson on MLB Network, and how do I word this? Hearing Alec Burleson say that, okay, about bringing back the Cardinal Way, or that's the Cardinal Way. Mm-hmm. We have been talking for the last 2, maybe even 3 seasons, but certainly the last 2, about the Cardinal Way has been lost. Mm-hmm. It's been lost. Where is it? Here we are, Carey. The Cardinal Way is creeping back with your youngest players. What do you think of that?
That was, when I heard that.
So we're in the same headspace.
Well, it struck me. It was said, that's the first time I've heard a player say it in a while. But it wasn't said by you know who.
Who are you alluding to?
Nolan Arenado or Paul Goldschmidt. It wasn't said by either of those two, and it was also said on a night where neither of those guys played. And so maybe sometimes my brain, it does weird things. I ran into people for a living, so it's all over the place at times.
I've seen you talking to yourself in the corner of a room.
That was between me and myself. You shouldn't have been listening.
You're right. I was eavesdropping. My bad. But I've been there too.
So I don't know if it bothered me or if it concerned me or if I should have been excited.
I was going to say, why did it make you happy?
I had a bunch of weird emotions when I heard that because we kind of lost the Cardinal Way here for a little bit.
It felt like it.
It has felt like it. But to have a younger player in years in the major leagues be the one on your team to say that, I don't know. I felt dirty, Jamie. I need that.
You didn't like that?
I liked it, but I would have loved it from the two guys that are supposed to be representative of the Cardinal Way. So if Wilson Contreras had said it, I wouldn't have had a problem.
No.
And I don't have a problem with Alec Burleson being the one to say it, but I just feel like it should have come from, one of your veteran guys.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, and that's exactly where my head went to as well.
Why him?
I said it, right?
Yeah.
But then as I digested it a little more, and I started thinking about other things that have been happening within that Cardinals clubhouse this season in particular, I actually started to get excited.
Okay. Hear me out. Let me hear this.
So you have Alec Burleson that says that last night. And Burley, he's not just saying it. He's walking the walk at the same time. He's playing good baseball. For a guy that was a defender, he's turned into a pretty good defender. He's had some
the outfield.
Good assists from the outfield. A nice grab last night at first base. The bat is working for him. He's hustling. He stole a base the other night. I mean, unheard of. And so, he's an example of the way the Cardinals are playing baseball right now, the way they want to play baseball. Mason Wynn is another player that is exuding this behavior, playing that Cardinal baseball. Run hard, play hard, hit hard, whatever it is, right? Like you're
whatever
there.
It takes.
Like proud to wear the birds on the bat. And people who are watching, those two guys in particular, and those are the only two I started with, are proud to have them as Cardinals.
Yes.
Let's continue. Brendan Donovan and Nolan Gorman, okay? Comes out now the whole story about this champagne bottle thing for players who start to get their first game. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we thought it was just Brendan Donovan. It's surfaced now that Gorman and Donovan started doing this for players who play in their very first major league game. But again, I'm excited, Carey. You know why? Because that's the future of the Cardinals. The future is not Goldschmidt and Arenado. It's not.
I'm with you.
So I think the thing that's been missing during the Goldie Arenado era here is, I know they're leaders behind closed doors. I cannot tell you what they do with that team because I'm not there.
Right.
But I can tell you by watching these young guys and the way they're being examples of how to play Cardinal baseball, and they're also walking the walk. Like Gorman, he goes through hot and cold. That's fine. But he still is a guy that can mash the baseball. Donnie, you take him on your team any day. And, of course, Wynn and Burleson, we've talked about those guys already. And Contreras, although he's a veteran guy, I'm proud to have him on my team.
Correct.
So is the Cardinal, is it positive that the younger guys are doing this?
It is. It is a very positive
It's a weird thing, though, right?
But it feels a bit uncomfortable because I mean, you've been in locker rooms, Jamie. Your best players should be your captains, should be your leaders, should be the guys that people go to for information, and those guys should be willing to take on that response. Too heavy is the head that wears the crown. That's part of the job you have. That's what it is. You've been given a lot of money to perform at a level. and people have a certain expectation of you. And so I am excited that Burley was the one to say that Mason Wynn plays as hard as he does, that Donovan plays as hard as he does. Those things, Wilson Contreras, I feel like when he got here last year, he was almost like the outcast because he played in a way that, well, what is this? That's how you're supposed to play, man. You're supposed to play with passion and effort and energy every single time you're on the field. It is a privilege to be able to do that. It's not, mundane work and you just show up, ho-hum, and go about your business. That's not the Cardinal way. So we saw a little bit of it from him last year, but you're starting to see it from some of those other guys. Can they pull, again, we're not in the locker room. We're not in the clubhouse. No. We don't know if this is their personality or not, but on the outside looking in, it looks like Goldie and Arenado are like they have to be the ones pulled into the fight, pulled into this having fun.
Yeah.
And maybe when you get older, you forget to have fun. Like you are playing a kid's game for a king's ransom. It's fun, but show a little bit of that. Let's have a little bit more.
I think what works against Goldie and Nolan Arenado in this discussion is, one, Goldie is just so quiet, right? And again, we've already said it a couple of times. We're not in the clubhouse. We're not at the field. We're not on the plane with these guys or in the hotel. So who knows what's going on in behind closed doors. But Goldie is not a boisterous presence. He's not an energetic presence when you look at Goldie. He's just the big fundy, the big fundamental. He's just Mr. Baseball. And Nolan Arenado, I think what we remember is that he said in an interview that the team needed to get some older guys, some more veteran guys, some other leaders in the locker room.
That was a concern.
So whether he needed a support group as far around him, or he was saying he can't do it or doesn't know how to do it, I think that coupled in what's going on right now makes it feel like those guys aren't a part of it. We get an interesting text here from the 636. It says, you guys are reaching. Goldie and Nolan weren't playing and not being interviewed. So, of course, they weren't going to say that it was in context of the game played last night. Those guys always play hard and are smart base runners. Okay, a couple things. We never said they don't play hard.
Right.
Never said that. Never said they're not smart base runners. But this is not isolated to just last night. This is isolated to their entire tenure here as Cardinals players, is that since they've been here, it's felt like the Cardinal way has kind of gone, and now the Cardinals are playing exciting baseball with their young guys that are kind of spearheading all of this. I think it should be better for Goldie and Arenado. Now they don't have to be the voice, the presence. They don't have to be. Just go play baseball.
The way that I looked at this quote from Alec Burleson, I think I looked at it completely different than the way you guys did. I think you guys are talking a little bit about like that leadership and that trickle-down effect to the younger players. The way that I looked at it, the Cardinal way was manufacturing runs. And when you look at this offense, they've had trouble, like scoring runs with runners in scoring position.
Oh, yeah.
And as of late, you've heard Ollie Marmol say it, you heard Alec Burleson say it, about putting pressure on the pitchers. And you're seeing that. You saw it last night. The game-winning run was a double steal. It executed perfectly. Like, that is something that I don't think we necessarily saw all too much last year or, in the beginning stages of this season. So I think this Cardinals team is starting to figure out, okay, if we play a certain style of small ball, if we are swinging early or if we're, getting to the pitcher early in games, putting pressure on the pitcher, we're running the base pass, we're playing good defense, we're doing all these things that make us a good ball club because for whatever reason we have lack of pop from our big guys. This is the way we're going to win, and I think they're starting to figure that out right now. That's how I took that quote.
Yeah, look, if
which is the Cardinal way.
Yeah, and I think we're both saying the same thing, but we're talking about two different elements to it. You're talking about the on-field product.
Yes.
And we're talking about what might be going on just as a group, how they're building momentum.
Which then leads to the on-field product.
Correct.
Sure.
So either way, look, I don't think that Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt are a problem. So let's make that clear. I don't think that they're a problem. I do feel like their particular personalities work much better within a group that's already got its leadership. I think that they lead by example. I think that they're consumed Carey, there are players that are like this.
I don't disagree.
There's goalies that are weird and stick to themselves, and it's like, and you just don't care. Just stop the puck, right?
Right.
You probably had quarterbacks in the day or wide receivers. Some guys that are he's just that way.
Yeah.
I think Goldie is just a quiet guy who likes to go about his business, that loves to be a good teammate and help out if he can. I think Nolan Arenado is extremely intense. I think he's hyper focused on his own game, and that pushes him to be the best version of what he's been able to do so far in his career. It's a little rough this year, but I don't see them as guys that you're like, hey, let's wrap our arms around these guys. They're going to take us there.
So the question I would have is, when you are building a team and when you sign those guys, when you trade for those guys and you have them here, you're building a team with the mindset that they're going to be the people that are able to branch out and give younger players and if they aren't, that explains maybe the lack of success that this team has had since they've been here. Is that
or
is
a
that
lack of homework done by the front office? Because if you didn't find out from other players, other teams, what you were getting, you thought you were getting Adam Wainwright with Paul Goldschmidt. Let's just use loose comparables. But you didn't.
Right.
So if you talk to the Diamondbacks, or you talk to anybody you played with before or former teammates, they probably said, oh, unbelievable guy, really good baseball player, super quiet, though.
Right.
Super quiet. Oh, okay.
Right.
So now if you trade for him, okay, the expectation is not going to make him be like one of our guys. He's just going to, hit 35 home runs a year. And I'm good with that.
Right.
And with Arenado, who knows what the homework was that needed to be done there, because he is a very intense player. So I think sometimes it gets viewed as, look at that guy.
Right.
He's intense. I bet that guy's fireball in the clubhouse, But sometimes those guys are a fireball to themselves.
Yeah.
Like, you idiot.
Yeah.
Make a better player. Yeah. I've seen guys like that where they're so hard on themselves, but they're only holding themselves accountable all the time.
Right.
So all this to be clear here is that I think it can work. I think it's actually a positive thing. You got Gibson, you got Carpenter, you've got Contreras, you've got a locker room full of guys that can handle the workload, and maybe this is what Arenado was talking about, giving us the answers, was that they needed a better support group. The funny thing is that some of the support group has now coming from the young guys.
Right.
Which is good, Carey.
It is good.
The future of the team is in good hands with those guys.
I don't disagree.
So it's a lot of fun. It's an interesting topic. You can agree or disagree, certainly, and I know everybody's got their own opinion, and I don't know, again, if there is a right answer when it comes to all of this. But anyways, we're going to get into Are You Sold? Next, here, 101 ESPN. Johnny Londoff Chevrolet. They are the one-stop shop for your pre-owned and brand new vehicle. They've been in the business for over 80 years. And the Londoff family, they like making you part of their family, the Londoff family. And I can tell you this because I've been a customer for over 25 years now, and my youngest kids are now buying their own vehicles, and they are part of the Londoff family. The experience that they had was incredible, and the inventory is fantastic. That's the one thing, too, is you have the original location in Florissant, Missouri, and you have the brand new Londoff Autoplex located out in St. Peter's. Both locations have great inventory, great deals. You don't just get that suggested retail price. No, you get the Londoff price, which is always so much better. And along with that, you get that incredible customer service that you deserve from the Londoff staff that want to make sure that you're not just a customer for one car, but you're a customer for the rest of your life and your kids and your family and your friends and all that. So please take my advice. Get in there. They've got some great deals going on. And tell them that Jamie Rivers sent you in. They'd love to hear that. But you can always check things out, too, on your own. All you have to do is visit Londoff.com or LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Johnny Londoff Chevrolet.
Fastlane here, 101 ESPN. Carey Davis, Andrew Marsh, and myself, Jamie Rivers. It's time for Are You Sold? Marshy, what do we got?
All right, let's start from Grant Francis Fan Club. Are you sold that Matthew Tkachuk winning a cup will get enough people talking about his dad to get Keith into the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Ooh, spicy. I think, weren't you and I talking about this before, Marshy?
I think we were just talking about it in a break maybe 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, I brought up to Marshy, I said, the Hockey Hall of Fame, one, Big Walt, Keith Tkachuk is in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. The Hockey Hall of Fame is for hockey accomplishments or to what you brought to the game of hockey.
Contributions.
Yeah. Keith Tkachuk should be there for sure. The amount of goals and points that he had as a U.S.-born player and then the penalty minutes to go along with it, like it's incredible, Carey. His numbers are incredible. But now let's take a step back. Both of his boys are stars in the NHL, and now his one son is a Stanley Cup champion. Are his children considered contributions to the game of hockey?
I mean, if you're looking at, you talk about his body of work, himself.
Yeah.
Right. And those numbers alone should be Hall of Fame worthy. If you have two boys that are playing at an elite level, I think it's a contribution. It's a contribution to the game. You are adding value to the game of hockey by your children being as good as they are. So if he should be there on his own, he damn sure should be there if his sons continue to play at the level that they're playing.
Like, it's weird, right? Because to call his kids a contribution to the game.
They are.
But they are. But I guess you expanded more, does Chantel then get a ring too? Because I can tell you this, that woman was the backbone for all of this. You know, Keith was still playing, the kids are little, and the practices and things like that. As you know, Carey, it takes a village sometimes to get it done.
Indeed.
But I think I like the fact that Keith Tkachuk is going to get some spotlight here right now because of his sons, and in particular Matthew.
Yeah.
But he absolutely deserves to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Next one comes from the Water Boy. Are you sold that the Cards do not need to re-sign Paul Goldschmidt because they are set at first base for the next few years?
I'm sold. I don't know why you would re-sign Paul Goldschmidt at this point. I know his numbers over the last month or so are much better than what they were before, but what are you going to do with him? Like, what does an extension look like? He's 37 years old here.
This is why I think the Cardinals are going to, because if you were not going to, trading him last year would have made the most sense. Like, you were 1 year removed from winning an MVP. You could have probably predicted the older, we've talked about this, you and I have talked about this time and time again, the older you get, you normally don't get better, you don't get faster, you don't get stronger, you start to slow down, not only in sports, but in life. Like, I wake up some morning and things hurt that didn't hurt the night before.
Yeah, going down the stairs in the morning, like, if I don't have a proper warm-up time.
There you go.
It's like, I'm going down sideways.
It doesn't get easier the older you get. And so the fact that they didn't trade him when they were as bad as they were last year led me to believe that they were going to re-sign him this year. And now we talked about maybe Goldie was the one that said, let's wait till the end of the year. Let's see how it goes. Maybe not a good move on his part if that's what he did, because you're not playing at the level that's going to get you paid as much as it would have if you'd have signed earlier. But I'm sold on them not needing to re-sign him. I'm not sold on them not re-signing him.
Do you guys ever wake up with morning grip? Do you know what I'm talking about? Not the other thing. No, it's when you wake up and like your hands,
years, probably.
like your hand, like you just can't squeeze stuff because you just don't have that feeling in your hand yet.
Like your hands going to sleep?
Yeah, kind of like that. Like you're not all there yet. You don't feel strong. You know what I'm talking about?
Perfect time.
I call it morning grip. But you can't like grip something, you know?
Well, you can grip it. You just can't feel it.
Yeah.
Which is fine too, Gary. It's a good question, Marshy.
It was an absolute softball for you two. Absolute softball. What did I do?
You brought it up.
I did bring it up, and I shouldn't have. From the 217, I really like this one.
I'm going to start calling it from now on.
Morning grip.
Hey, honey, I got that morning grip.
Oh,
it's when you can't, you just can't, like, holding my phone. I pick my, I'm kind of weak.
Yeah, you
kind of weak in the forearms.
Got to rub it out a little bit.
Okay.
The circulation, the blood is what's missing.
You're right. You're right. All right, I really do like this next one from the 217. Are you sold that Matthew Tkachuk winning the Stanley Cup will lead other teams to overpay for lesser versions of him?
Wow, interesting question.
Why would you pay for a lesser version? Like, if you can't
because you think you might have the Matthew Tkachuk.
Let's get a guy like Matthew Tkachuk.
That very rarely works out.
Exactly.
Like, I'm sure there are some teams that are going to do it, but it doesn't work out that way. There's a reason why that person is that person, because they do things that other people cannot do. So you're trying to get a I don't want to say a knockoff version of it, but you know the cheap
off-brand,
the off-brand version.
You're certainly not going to overpay for it. I think I know. I saw the same one, Marshy. So
which one? There's like 10 coming.
There's
through.
Great. I love you on the text line, people. Fantastic. But yeah, I think Matthew Tkachuk. I think that it was identified by the entire league that it's a very unique player, and so I think that the price that Florida paid to get him and then keep him for an 8-year contract, I mean, it's a great move.
Some people are calling it sleepy hands. That could be a better word for it. Sleepy
your
hands.
go to. I had no clue.
That's what I tried to say.
No, you said morning grip, and
you can't grip stuff. You need like a stress ball to sort of get those forearms working.
Now you're really digging the hole.
Yeah, buddy.
By the way, Marshy, want to have a sleepover?
Oh, God. You guys are something else. All right, let's do one more here so we can get out of this segment. From the 314, are you sold that the Cards should trade Ryan Helsley for pitching, but also be buyers and trade for pitching?
I don't think you can do both.
I think it'd be counterproductive.
Yeah, I don't think
you got the best closer in baseball right now.
Yeah.
I mean, for the time being.
Yeah.
And, if things stay the way they are, which you have to assume that he's going to continue to play good. But I know there's some good ones.
Hey, what can I say? I was on TMA this morning.
Again?
Did you have the morning grill?
I did not. Well, actually, this morning I woke up. I probably got like an hour of sleep last night. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. So I didn't have the morning grip this morning just because I really didn't get any sleep. So all my hands were working.
Righty. Just keeps going.
You know what?
Got the hand-eye coordination, Carey. You saw it. You saw it in the hallway.
I didn't see anything in the hallway.
I dropped my water bottle, but I caught it midair.
Oh, I did see that.
I got hand-eye coordination like a cat.
And morning grip as well.
Occasionally.
All right. It's a fast lane here on 101 ESPN. I know what Anthony feels like now. Even though the Oilers didn't win the Stanley Cup, can we see other teams trying to replicate what they have done? We'll talk about that next here in the fast lane.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals won last night 4-3 over the Atlanta Braves. Kyle Gibson on the mound tonight going up against Ronaldo Lopez of the Atlanta Braves, and the first pitch is at 6:45. Last night, the Florida Panthers defeated the Edmonton Oilers 2-1 in Game 7, and they won their first ever Stanley Cup in franchise history. Connor McDavid on the losing end. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy for the MVP of the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll continue talking about your St. Louis Cardinals, but we're going to dive back into the Oilers. Even though the Oilers did not win the Stanley Cup, could we see other teams trying to replicate what they did? That's coming your way next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Still discussing morning grip. We appreciate your participation on the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. You guys are always very appreciated. Before we went to the break, we talked about the Edmonton Oilers. And the question was, even though the Oilers didn't win the Cup, could we see other teams trying to replicate what they have done? Carey, I'm going to make this really easy.
Okay.
Yeah, just go draft Connor McDavid and you're all set.
Well,
coming up next here.
If you can do that, then yeah, sure. Is it possible to recreate what they did? Like, I think we often talk about, teams that fire their managers or fire their coaches and make runs, but that's not normal. Like, that's not the expected outcome to get a new head coach and make a playoff push or make a playoff run or make it to the World Series like the Phillies did or to the Stanley Cup final like the Blues or the Oilers. It's not normal, but you got an all-time great player. It kind of makes life a little easier, doesn't it, Jamie?
Certainly helps.
So I don't know how you recreate the momentum that they had this year and making it as far as they did. Again, if you can find another Connor McDavid, that would help in that quest, but probably not going to be able to do so.
It's tough because they had to be really bad for an extended period of time. And in that extended period of time, they were able to draft Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. They also had some misses, too, in the first round.
Oh, like, what do you mean?
What's his name? Jesse Puljujarvi. He ended up being nothing. And then they had some bad signings.
Like old Nail?
Nail Yakupov. He was in that mix, too. Jack Campbell, the goaltender that they thought they were getting. They thought they were getting Stuart Skinner and Jack Campbell, but it ended up being the opposite version of that. So I don't know if you can replicate it just because this team was built so top-heavy with offensive power, and they still, quite honestly, their defensive core wasn't good enough to be competitive. How they got to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final is unbelievable to me.
They turned it on the penalty kill. That helped. That was an amazing run of epic proportion. Like, you don't normally see a team, was it 47 out of 48?
Yeah.
That they didn't allow. I mean, I don't know that I've never seen that before. That had to have helped. They scored more shorthanded goals than they allowed.
Yes.
Penalty.
Yeah, I think they were like
goals.
+1 or something like that.
That's absurd.
That's pretty good.
That helped.
But yeah, so Marshy, I know when we put this together, we were talking about trying to build a team or a similar where you just create so much offensive power that then you can just backfill it on the defensive side.
Right.
And I just don't think you can do that. I just don't think that you can. We're going to get into it later to where the Panthers built their team in a very unique way, in a different way, and focused more on the defensive side. And we're going to break that down. PK Subban has got some great audio regarding that segment as well. But I think all roads lead back to Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. I'd be remiss to not say something. You can't replicate that.
Mm-hmm. I just wonder if there are going to be teams that are dumb enough to try and replicate that, because we've seen the past few Stanley Cup champions win because they have big defensemen. They are a defensive team. Defense wins championships. That's been the old adage for who knows how long. But you see a team like Edmonton, and I know it's probably going to happen where some teams feel like, oh, well, this team, they play off the rush. They score all their goals off the rush. Well, we can do that. You know, they might not have won the Stanley Cup, but hell, they went to Game 7. They almost did it against one of the best defensive teams in the NHL. Why can't scoring off the rush work? I just don't think that's how you win championships in the NHL, but I feel like some team is going to do it. And I wonder if one of the teams is going to be the Blues.
Well, so I don't think...
Or if they're already doing it.
Well, I don't think the Blues will do that, just because in talking to Drew Bannister and listening to him talk, he flat out says, you know, teams that score off the rush don't have playoff success. Now you go, well, but look at the Oilers. I understand. But that was McDavid. It was Draisaitl.
Well, I think that's the whole point of this segment.
It is. And I get it. And the Blues are one of those teams. So if you take a look at a team that not trying to emulate it, but unfortunately played a version of that hockey, was the Blues. For the last couple of years, they've had more opportunities off of the rush, and they've missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. So is it a direct correlation? Maybe, maybe not, but it certainly is part of it. And so I think that, to your point, though, Marshy, there will be some teams out there that are like playoff bubble teams, but they're really top-heavy with offensive players, and they might look for that off-brand defenseman. Bring in one guy like Matthias Ekholm, who wasn't even really a stud defenseman. He's just a solid defenseman.
I thought he played very well.
He did, but when they traded for him, he's not a guy you're like, oh, well, they're set now. They got Ekholm. It's good. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, he wasn't even the dude in Nashville.
Correct. So will teams pivot like that? Teams that will do that are going to be general managers or president of hockey operations that are under a tremendous amount of pressure, and they're closer to that version than they are a true championship version. So they'll try to find their way, sneak their way into the playoffs with tons of chances off the rush and good goaltending.
I wonder, before we close this out, I wonder what the Maple Leafs will look like next year under Craig Berube, because I feel like they're a team that not necessarily getting down and dirty, you know, in the trenches. When you have a guy that scores 60 goals a year, like, you don't really need to, but you do in the playoffs.
Let's process that for a second. Austin Matthews, he's also a very good defensive player. He just doesn't get any credit for it. And Mitch Marner, same thing. Everybody's talking about Mitch Marner being traded. I don't think he's going to get traded. I think that Craig Berube is going to see the value in having a really good two-way player that unfortunately has never played for Craig Berube yet. I think Chief can work with that. If Chief can create Robert Thomas, to which he kind of did, Mitch Marner, who is a better version right now. He's got more scoring power, all that stuff. I think that Craig Berube would like the opportunity to work with Marner. Here's where you're going to see a difference, is last year, Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi were kind of accent pieces until later on in the playoffs where Domi got a little more ice time. The Leafs are in talks with both of those players. I think they're trying to keep them, extend them. If they do, that's the kind of player that Chief really likes. He likes those guys in the trenches, the net front presence, to cycle the puck, play gritty. I think you'll see some roster tweaks to where the style of play can change as well. Because Toronto, they didn't have McDavid and Draisaitl. They had Austin Matthews, but they didn't have the other guy. And look what happened. They've struggled. They've won one playoff round in, how many years? 20 years or something like that? Seriously. Been a while. So, anyways, it's always interesting to see in every league who decides to copycat which team. And I think some teams will be forced to try and open it up like the Edmonton Oilers did. Unfortunately, they fell one game short. Congratulations again to the Florida Panthers. Interesting question we talked about the other day is, what does this outfield look like in 3 weeks? Or when Edman and Nootbaar come back, what does it look like for the Cardinals? Coming up next here on 101 ESPN. Looking for brand new windows? Looking to change out those old windows that maybe don't look very good? Maybe they're not efficient? Maybe you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't know if I want to spend the money. Said this before, you are already spending the money. With inefficient windows, you've got that air conditioning leaking out. You've got that heat in the wintertime leaking out. It's costing you money. Spend the right money and get the brand new windows in there with Window World. They are the preferred window of your St. Louis Blues. Window World windows are one of 2 windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. Why is that? Well, because they use a double-strength glass that gives it a strength not commonly used in replacement windows. So we go back again to the efficiency of this window. Not just the durability, but the efficiency. And they back it up with a lifetime warranty that covers all the parts, the glass breakage, and the labor. And right now, offering 36 months same as cash financing with approved credit. So please don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone, call my friends over at Window World and get those new windows put in soon. And all you have to do is call 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. Or you can always visit windowworldstlouis.com. Fastlane here at 101 ESPN. Carey Davis, Andrew Marsh, Jamie Rivers. By the way, reminder, we need a new contestant for the Gauntlet today. So please text in Gauntlet to 314-399-9646. We'll get to that here at 4 o'clock. Anyways, Marshy and I were talking the other day, Carey, and I said, look, things are going pretty good right now for the Cardinals. Burleson's out in right field, Donovan in left field. You got Ciani playing gold glove defense in center field, and Dylan Carlson, who's played good defense when he's been put in there as well. And Donovan and Burley's bats in particular are really what they're difference makers.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when Tommy Edman and Lars Nootbaar come back? Like, how do you configure this outfield? Because one would think, well, Edman goes back to center field. Fine. Because Michael Ciani doesn't have the bat that Tommy Edman does.
Correct.
Not yet, anyways. Defense is probably pretty comparable. They're both really good. But then what about Lars Nootbaar?
That's going to be
Burley will DH, but hang on a second. You're going to have Contreras, and you're going to have Pages sometimes. You're going to have both of those guys in the lineup, and then Herrera somewhere is going to come back into the fold as well. And you're not going to have him catch because he can't throw anybody out at second base.
Wow. He can.
He just hasn't. Yeah. He chooses not to. So, but maybe he doesn't choose that. It just happens.
I don't think it's a choice.
It feels like it sometimes. But you'll have those games. You might have Contreras catching and Herrera DHing. So that simple. Just DH. It's not going to be available. But you can't take Donovan and Burley out of the lineup. So, Carey, I go back to the original guy. What does this look like?
Somebody's going to be watching the game from the dugout. Either because again, you hit the nail on the head. I don't think Brendan Donovan and Burley are out of the lineup. So they're playing every single day. And I think how it comes down to, I think it's going to, maybe you put Lars back in the outfield, you put him in right field, you put Burley in left field, maybe you put Donovan as your second baseman or your DH and have Gorman as your DH, and that makes things a little bit, and then Ciani and Dylan Carlson are your defensive replacements off the bench, and I think that's how it will go. The question I have is if Jordan Walker were to be able to come back up at some point, if he's performing now you got another person, because he's going to play every day in the outfield.
He has to.
Somewhere.
But is he blocked right now? Is he blocked right now?
I will tell you this.
I think pretty good.
I think I think he's batting like 265 right now. He got 3 home runs.
It's fine.
It's fine. If it takes a leap here in the next 2 to 3 weeks, right? Then maybe you start to say, okay, well, we got to bring him back. He's going to play every day. And so now, money plays, first round picks play. I understand, but with the production you're getting from Burley and Donovan, you're taking Burley out for Walker? You're not taking Burley out. You're probably looking at Lars Nootbaar out. But we're not even there yet. So let's not even put Walker into that conversation. I think you have Lars. That. I did. I always do that. You got Lars in left field, you got Burley in right field, and then you got Donnie as your second baseman or your DH, and Tommy Edman in center field. I think that to me feels like the best defensive and offensive lineup you can put out there to have success.
It is, until you want to have Herrera and Contreras in the lineup together.
Well, then somebody gets a day off. Somebody's tired, Jamie. They're always tired.
And look, this is assuming, too, by the way, that everybody's popping.
And everybody's healthy.
And everybody's healthy, which we'd hope at that point. But it's still, for me, it's very interesting to see how this is going to play out, because the guys that, like Burley, I think everybody thought he was a bench bat, DH, maybe a couple of days he gets in when Goldie needs to get off his feet or whatever, because Walker was supposed to be in right field.
Correct.
And you're supposed to have Newt in left field. You're supposed to have Edman at center field. And Donovan was the guy you're like, we'll find a spot for him every day. He'll just roam around. You know?
Somebody needs a day off, he's your guy.
But now you've got him as a fixture out in left field. And you can't bop him around the field too much, because, I mean, unless you're just going to go around the diamond and give Arenado a day off, then Wynn a day off, then Gorman a day off, then Goldie a day off. Like, it's going to get crowded. Let's just put it that way.
It will be, but I think you play the guys that are performing the best. Again, Burley and Donovan play every day. Like, there's no need to take them out of your lineup. Donovan is hitting ahead of Nolan Arenado today. Like, that tells me that you want him in your lineup. He's going to play. He's doing a great job. You don't remove those two guys from your lineup at any cost, unless there's an injury. I think they've earned the right to play every single day, despite who comes back and how well they're playing. They have done a great job. Lars has been hurt, which probably prevented him from having an opportunity, because Burley said, you know what, I can stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I can make plays in the outfield at first base. I am able to play multiple positions, and my bat plays. So he's in the lineup. No questions asked. The question is going to be Tommy Edman, because of because of who he is and him signing a new contract, he's going to be your center fielder.
Yeah, because I've never personally had the belief that Tommy Edman was as good defensively as Ciani. I think now some people might push back and say, he's Gold Glove caliber center fielder. Fine, but you can't tell me he's better. He might be equal, but you can't tell me he's better than Ciani defensively.
I think he was the best center fielder on the team last year.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's the best center fielder on the team this year.
Ciani's one of the best defensive center fielders in all of Major League Baseball right now.
But his bat should be better than Ciani's. And so if you get...
Better be.
I hope so. If you get the same caliber... maybe a notch lower defensively, but you get a notch higher or 2 or 3 offensively.
You'll take that little punch.
You'll take that.
Yeah, I get it. Do you see a scenario where they look to move an outfielder? And if they do, who has value? Like, Donnie and Burley, I think, have value, but why would you move them?
Yeah.
Why would you move them? They're part of the, based on what we've talked about, they're part of your core now.
The person that comes to, the name that comes to mind is Lars Nootbaar. But the question is, could you move him knowing his injury history and that being a concern for a team, and what do you get in return? Like, maybe last year you would have gotten more because not as many injuries as he's had up until this point, right? You had the injuries you had, but you've had more injuries this year, which just adds on to more strikes against that person. Like, he's unable to stay healthy. That becomes the concern.
But this is where Lars's lore can work in your favor.
It could.
Because people, the hype of Lars Nootbaar can sometimes blind certain people from really doing their due diligence. So my first phone call, by the way, would be to the Dodgers.
Okay.
Because Shohei Ohtani is like his super buddy. Mm-hmm. And so you start to plant the seed with Shohei. Shohei's like, hey, let's get him here. And the Dodgers, they've got plenty of stuff to give out there. Lots of prospects, lots of young arms, whatever. Mm-hmm. Maybe you sneak a bit of a higher trade value for Lars Nootbaar because of the hype, and then because one of the best players in the world wants him to play on your team.
That might help. Could help.
Could help.
But other than him, I don't know where else you go in terms of if you Dylan Carlson is probably
no value. Well, that's not true. Somebody out there still sees value in Dylan Carlson.
I'm sure, but what you get in return is
probably not much.
There you go.
No, you'd just be making a spot in your
Correct.
outfield for somebody else.
Correct. Would it be worth it?
Yeah, and at that point, the trade would be, let's say it's Ciani that you keep instead. The trade, or Nootbaar that you keep instead. The trade is Dylan Carlson for Lars Nootbaar. Because I'm not getting anything back in return, so I'm just getting rid of a roster spot
to give
Nootbaar or whoever the everyday reps.
Correct.
So anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what the Cardinals do. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they have this problem, which means everybody's healthy, because they haven't had that in, 3 years in their outfield. So we'll see. Fingers crossed on that, of course. Coming up next, though, we got a new contestant in the Gauntlet. We'll see who they pick and how it goes down right here on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers here, joined by my good buddy Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. And Stewie, we're just talking about baseball, and sometimes there's errors in baseball, but also there are errors made by mortgage companies.
You know what, Jamie, when you make an error in baseball, it's not the end of the world. You make an error when you're buying a house, it can make all the difference in your life. This customer came over to us. They were buying a house. They got declined by their lender, who pre-approved them initially 10 days before they were supposed to close. They're like, what do we do? They came to us, and we realized something. He, the buyer, is a junior. The father is a senior. The bad credit that was on his credit report was all senior. We cleaned up his credit. got to close in 10 days. You got to rate 0.5% better than the other lender. And it was a really smooth process. So sometimes you just need to go with someone who knows what they're doing and is willing to pay attention to your particular circumstance to make it work. And that's key when you're making the biggest investment in your life, your home.
That's right, Stewie. And that's what the customer service that you offer all of our listeners. And all they have to do is pick up the phone and call you or shoot you a text. That number is 314-324-4440. Again, that's 314-324-4440. And if for some reason you can't remember that, you can't write it down, it's really easy. All you have to do is Google the bagel loan. Stewie, thank you so much.
Have a good night, guy.
NMLS number 226715.
Four warriors, 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you master the Gauntlet?
The Gauntlet is powered by Master, your hometown source for business communications for more than 30 years. Visit Mastor.com.
It's a Fast Lane here at 101 ESPN. It is time for the Gauntlet. We head out to our ESPN phone line. We got Ryan with us. Ryan, how we doing, bud?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So we're missing Anthony.
Yep.
He'll be back on Friday. So we'll see. Maybe you get to Anthony. But for today, you got Marshy, you got Carey, or you got myself. Who are you looking to take on today?
Let's go, you, Jamie.
Oh, baby. All right, buddy.
2 days in a row.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's coming after me.
Yeah.
They know I'm tired. I'm weak. Got that morning grit.
I watching the hockey game, so I'll get you.
All right, Ryan. Good luck, buddy.
Thanks, you too.
All right, Ryan. Jamie is heading out to the cone of silence. You know how this goes. You answer the question correctly with no options, you get 2 points. You answer it with the options, you get 1 point. And if you get it incorrect, you get 0 points. And the goal is obviously to get more points than Jamie. So you tell Marshy to spin that wheel. We'll see what you get.
All right, Marshy, spin that wheel.
What topic? What are you looking for?
Hockey's my favorite sport, so I'd say maybe hockey, but against Jamie,
it's not hockey.
All right.
What do you got, Marshy?
It is random trivia today.
Random.
Oof.
Yeah, that's what I said. We'll see. Maybe you know a little bit more random trivia than Jamie knows. He is dialed in sometimes, though, at this random. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Marshy is handing me the launch codes, and we are ready to roll. You ready to go, Ryan?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Who is the main villain of the classic children's board game Candyland?
I'm going to need the options on that.
Okay. Is it Lord Licorice, Buster Nut, or Gloppy?
What was the last one?
Gloppy.
Let's go A.
A?
Yeah.
All righty. Pull it together, Marshy.
Must have been named after Buster Brown.
Yep.
From the 2005 film Cinderella Man tells the motivational story of James J. Braddock, who scored one of the greatest heavyweight upsets in boxing history. Which actor played Braddock in this movie?
I'm going to go Russell Crowe.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Question number 3. On November 20th, 2022, where did Elton John hold his final U.S. performance? We need the stadium, please.
I'm going to shoot again. Let's go Madison Square Garden. Final answer.
Question number 4. Can you identify the president who raised and bred award-winning Angus cattle on a 189-acre farm after leaving the Oval Office?
2 options on that.
Options are Dwight D. Eisenhower, William McKinley, or Lyndon B. Johnson.
Let's go B. Final answer.
That would be William McKinley.
All right, let's get Jamie back in here.
Ooh.
Those are tough.
Ryan, how you feel?
We'll see.
It's always a good feeling to have. Yeah? Yeah?
What are we talking about?
Morning grip. It's a good feeling to have.
It's weird yet not uncomfortable, Carey.
All right, Jamie.
Oh, question 1.
Oh, yeah. Jamie, tell him, Marshall.
Pack a lunch.
What's my category?
Oh, sorry.
Random.
It's random, so it didn't matter.
They're ready to go. I'm like, wait a minute.
Man.
It's random.
Okay.
It's really random. So here we go.
All right.
Who is the main villain of the classic children's board game Candyland?
Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's licorice, but is it Lady Licorice? No. Lord. Wouldn't be Lady. I think it's Lord Licorice. Final answer? Final answer.
Oh, okay.
What?
Well, Carey dodged one right there.
Buddy.
From, question number 2, the 2005 film, we'll tell you later.
Okay.
2005 film Cinderella Man tells the motivational story of James J. Braddock, who scored one of the greatest heavyweight upsets in boxing history. Which actor played Braddock in this movie?
Are you not entertained? Russell Crowe. Final answer. And that was Gladiator, by the way.
Oh, thank you for that. Question number 3. On November 20th, 2022, where did legendary Elton John hold his final U.S. performance? We do need the stadium, please.
It's not Madison Square Garden? Elton John. It's got to be Madison Square. It's the most famous arena. Where else would he play, Andrew?
Don't be staring at me.
I'm going to take the options, and I know I shouldn't.
Is it Dodger Stadium, SoFi Stadium, or the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum?
Well, I sure am glad I took the options. So Dodger Stadium, SoFi Stadium, or...
Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum.
Okay. I think it was Dodger Stadium. SoFi. I've never heard of the third one. So I'll go with Dodger Stadium. Final answer.
We're going to get back to that last point you just made after this is over.
Oh, no.
Question number 4. Can you identify the president who raised and bred award-winning Angus cattle on a 189-acre farm after leaving the Oval Office?
Can I name them? Sure I can, but I'd like the options, please.
Options are Dwight D. Eisenhower, William McKinley, Lyndon B. Johnson.
Lyndon B. Johnson, Stuart Brimley. You guys aren't paying attention. Who's the first one?
Dwight D. Eisenhower.
All right, let's go with him. Final answer. I have no freaking idea.
All right. Let's start with question number 2. The 2005 film Cinderella Man tells the motivational story of James J. Braddock, who scored one of the greatest heavyweight upsets in boxing history. Which actor played Braddock in the movie? Ryan, you said Russell Crowe. Jamie, you said Russell Crowe. The correct answer is?
It is Russell Crowe.
But neither of you needed the option. 2-2.
Damn you, Ryan.
Let's go to question number 3. On November 20th, 2022, where did the legendary Elton John hold his final U.S. performance? Jamie, after taking the options, thinking, MSG sounds like the answer.
It sure did.
You said Dodger Stadium. Ryan, you said MSG. You know that was not one of the options. The correct answer is?
It is Dodger Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Jamie, you take a 3-2.
Ryan and I were both on the same wavelength there.
Yep.
Question number 1. Who is the main villain of the classic children's board game Candyland? Jamie, after much discussion in your head and out loud. Lady Licorice, Lord Licorice. Why would it be Lady? You went with Lord Licorice. Ryan, you also went with Lord Licorice.
Oh, come on.
No one wanted to choose option B, I guess.
Well, what were the options, Carey? What?
Oh, man. Lord Licorice.
Yeah.
Buster Nut.
What?
And Gloppy.
All of those are very true.
Marshy, the correct answer is?
It's Lord Licorice.
Lord Licorice. But Jamie didn't need any of the options.
Wow.
It is 5-3. Comes down to this final question. Can you identify the president who raised and bred award-winning Angus cattle on a 189-acre farm after leaving the Oval Office? You all have different answers.
Oh, boy. What's the score right now?
5-3.
4.
You.
Oh.
Yeah, you're winning.
You forgot. Yes, of course I did.
All right.
Especially after the options.
Ryan, you said William McKinley. Jamie, you said... Who did you say? Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Thank you. I
forgot.
No idea either.
Ryan.
You have chosen poorly.
You lose.
Not today.
It was indeed Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Oh,
Jamie, you won
goodness.
6-3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ryan,
Good job, Ryan.
Good job, buddy. That was an interesting one, to say the least.
Yes, that was rough.
All right, buddy. Well, look, thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, too.
All right.
See you guys.
Good job, Ryan.
Thanks.
How did you guys make it through that first one?
I'm crying right now. I had to wipe away tears from my eyes because I was so sad that Ryan, a nice guy, just lost in the Gauntlet.
Oh, he did. He was a nice guy. That's the
I'm
second
crying.
nice guy in a row.
I'm crying over here.
That's the second nice guy in a row, Jamie.
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
So do the Busters.
Yeah, because I can't even imagine where we'd be right now if I wasn't in the cone of silence.
Oh, man. It was...
Probably fired. All right. Good time was had by all, though.
What a game Candyland is. What a game.
Who
What
knew?
a game the Gauntlet is,
It's
too.
been awesome. It's been a great day.
All right, let's get back into the NHL. Where do the Blues rank when it comes to defense? I don't know. My guy Marshall will tell you when we come back. It's a fast lane here on 101 ESPN. St. Louis Blues were in another Athletic article, and the Athletic hates the Blues, by the way. Not Jeremy Rutherford, but the rest of them over there. I think they're jealous of good old JR and the work he does.
Dom.
Yeah, Dom loves the Blues. But anyways, Marshy's question was, where do the Blues rank when it comes to defense? And the Athletic had an article talking about this very subject. Marshy, fill us in.
Yes, so the Blues, would you like to guess where they rank in terms of the NHL, according to this article on their defense?
So now, a full disclosure, Marshy told me earlier, so I'm going to remove myself from this process.
I feel like I know.
We don't want another
I might be guessing.
moment.
No, we don't want that.
Well, I might be guessing. 19.
Would you like higher or lower? Are we playing higher or lower?
Is that your over-under number, or are you going to...
That's where I'm at. Is worse?
Yeah.
23.
And me?
20 and 27? Dead last.
No, not dead last.
29.
Correct.
You got there.
Yes.
You got there.
Now, you did bring up the number 19. In this article, they go into current quality. It is the 19th percentile. They're also talking about what the Blues could be looking for, and it says a franchise talent top pair defenseman, and it goes on to say, collectively, we're getting tired of talking about the Blues' blue line woes. I think we could agree with that. Between Colton Parayko, Justin Falk, Torrey Krug, and Nick Leddy, the Blues don't really have a top four problem. They have a star power problem. None of the four can be seriously counted on as a top pair threat on a playoff team. And it's hard to move up the ranks given that constraint. Getting a legitimate top pair defenseman with offensive ability to play with Parayko this season is a big priority.
So I've got a couple of issues with what was just written. I can tell you right now, if you took Colton Parayko and plopped him on that Edmonton Oilers blue line, Oilers probably win that Stanley Cup. You put him alongside Matthias Ekholm, and then everybody else bumps down, Colton Parayko's a difference maker. He is flat out. You look at a guy like Forsling for the Florida Panthers. Relatively unknown guy, was picked up off waivers. We'll get into that later because the way the Florida Panthers have built this roster is pretty damn impressive. But all he did is shut people down. Who really ever heard of Forsling before playing against McDavid this year in the Stanley Cup playoffs? Nobody really,
Yeah.
except for if you're a devoted Panthers fan or you're a super hockey fan.
Or you like the name Gustav.
Or you like Gustav. Catchy
Gustav
name.
Fring? Oh, sorry.
What?
Gustav Fring.
That's Gustavo.
Gustavo.
Yeah.
It's different,
Gus.
Carey. Give it Gus, yeah. But Gus Forsling, for me, is a direct comparable to Colton Parayko. You take Colton Parayko and put him on any team, put him on the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs probably don't get eliminated in the first round. So this is where I disagree with that thought. Now, would it be nice to add an offensive guy to play alongside Parayko? It is, but here's where the NHL is headed. Your top pair is mostly your shutdown pair at this point. And then you have an offensive guy or couple of offensive guys. You try to round out your top four. There are exceptions to the rule. When you're talking about a Cale Makar or even a Quinn Hughes. But even Quinn Hughes in the playoffs, when things got to where they're doing matchups against the Oilers, it ended up at one point being Filip Hronek and Zadorov playing against McDavid, and they got Quinn Hughes away from that because defensively...
He's a liability.
Well, not a liability, because
Not
he's a
as
hell of a
good.
defenseman, but he wasn't as good in that role. So the thought process of adding an offensive guy to play with Parayko, okay, then who's going to shut teams down? It better be a guy that can do both things.
Right.
It better be a guy that can play solid defensively and contribute to the offensive side of it.
How do they we talked about this the last couple of days, last week, this week. How do they find that with the contract situations that they have right now with the defensemen? Like you're unable to move. I know they re-signed Scott Perunovich, and he was good for a while, then kind of felt like he tailed off a little bit towards the end of the season. Where do they find that help from if they're unable to move some of these contracts.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. It really is. And Brooke, who was here recording something with Randy, was talking to me in the Cone of Silence, kind of asking me the same thing. Like, how do they improve this blue line? How do they do that? Well, they've drafted a whole bunch of defensemen in the last couple of years, and they'll probably draft another defenseman with the first pick this year in the draft if they keep it. So you're hoping that one of those guys eventually gets to that spot.
How far away are we from that?
Yeah. If ever. Like, that's where... But seriously.
Because you don't know. With draft picks.
If you look at the top defensemen that are out there, the top young defensemen, or just past that entry-level contract, there were top 5 picks in the NHL draft. So you don't have one of those.
Right.
Which means you're picking from a little bit more of an unsure category. Meaning, like, are they NHL players? Probably. Yeah. Will they have solid careers? Probably. Will they be difference makers or all-stars? Don't know.
Gotcha.
Don't know. And you can go and try and make a trade, but you're going to have to unload a contract. The Blues are going to have to trade somebody from their top 4, not Parayko, so somebody from the other 3, we'll call it, and they're going to have to attach, in my opinion, like a first-round pick or a second-round pick for somebody to make a trade.
To entice someone to be willing.
Yes, and you're not going to get a defenseman in return because anybody who's of that value, why would that team be trading him? Now, there is an outlier. Jacob Chychrun, who's in Ottawa, he's had himself a pretty good career. In Ottawa, he took a little bit of a step back, still played pretty well, but he's a left-handed shot. A big guy. He could play alongside Colton Parayko. I know that the Ottawa Senators are contemplating moving him. In fact, I thought he was going to be a part of the Ullmark deal with Boston. How Ottawa got through that without having to give up any major assets is incredible to me. Steve Stajos must have pictures of Don Sweeney. I'm telling you right now. But that's kind of a guy you circle. Otherwise, you're looking at the free agent market, which means you're trading for what I would call a pure salary dump in order to try and take that money and go find a guy. But I don't think that guy's out there. Like, even if you had the money to go get Nikita Zadorov, yes, he's good. Yes, he'd be great alongside Colton Parayko. But is he that offensive guy, too? He doesn't have that offensive upside.
I just feel like with what we saw happen last year with Krug and him not accepting the trade, you run into... I mean, all 4 of those guys, you're not trading Parayko. The other 3 have no trade clauses.
Yep.
So how in the hell are you going to upgrade your top 4 defensemen if 3 of them are unwilling to go anywhere, and one of them you don't have any plans on trading?
You're going to have to kick the tires a little bit, and Army and Alex Steen now, because they're the dynamic duo, they're going to have to talk to. I think you isolate one of them. Isolate's a strong word. I think you talk to one of them. What I meant to say was you don't just tell all of them. You don't want to be like, hey, by the way,
one of you guys are
gone.
Right.
So in my opinion, you find the one player that you think there's interest out there on the market for them, and then you approach them and say, listen, we're looking to move on. I know you have a no trade in your contract.
Yeah.
Would you give us 5 teams that you would go to?
I think...
And then
you hope and pray.
You hope and pray.
Because you worked so hard to get a contract and to get that no trade clause. That's what you did it for, to be able to say, no, I don't want to go anywhere. And I know it can make it awkward when a team wants to get rid of you. Hey, we don't like you anymore. We want to move on. Not that we don't like you, but we want somebody better in your place, essentially, is what you're saying. But as a player, you work to get a contract, to sign a contract, and to have that power over your career. And if I don't want... It's so much more than just hockey. Right? It's family. My kids are here. My wife is here. She may have a job. My kids go to school. We like this neighborhood. Yep. We like this school district that we're in. And I'm raising, all of those things come into play. And I think it's difficult, especially if you have the no trade clause in your contract. It's going to be hard for them to move some of those guys if they don't want to go. And again, we just saw it last year.
Before we end this segment, multiple people have texted in asking if we are going to address the LA Coliseum issue from last segment. We did talk in the break, and it appeared that Jamie just had a little bit of a brain fart.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I was still thinking I was still thinking about MSG, quite honestly. I had that on the brain, and I thought I was going to hear it again in the options, and I didn't. And then I kind of panicked.
LA Coliseum.
In LA Coliseum, I'm like,
Raiders.
wait a minute. That's where the bad boys, the Raiders, played.
88 Olympics, I believe.
Yes. No.
Was it 84? 84.
Yes.
I think that's where they introduced Gordon Bombay and Team USA. And then
Money Talks was there, the movie with Chris Tucker and Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Great movie. I'm sorry, the documentary.
Yeah, be careful.
I apologize.
Better word that properly.
Yeah, I apologize.
Either way, the Athletics still doesn't like the Blues, and the Blues do have a bit of an issue on their D core because we've seen, if nothing else, we've seen throughout these last 2, 3, 4, 5 years of the playoffs is that your defense core and your goaltender are going to matter.
Yeah, and there's a text from, where is it at, 567, says, Jamie, they're going to waive Krug. Is that a possibility where you just eat that salary and just say, the hell with it? We want to move you so badly, we're willing to just get you off the books any way we can. Or get you off the roster, not off the books. Cause you're
what
still
happens is it's the money comes off the salary cap, but there still is a penalty on the salary cap. I'd have to investigate more. I think it's maybe 1.8, maybe 2 million that would still remain on the salary cap. So if Army could say to player X, Y, or Z, say, hey, if you don't give us 5 teams or 10 teams that you'd go to, then we're just going to waive you. And you'll make your money, but you'll be playing in Springfield with our minor league team. So if you don't want to move because you don't want to accept the trade, that's fine. You're moving anyways. And so then that's a hard-nosed move by the GM.
Yeah.
Like, that is like no love. That relationship is severed.
It's over.
We're done.
Yeah.
We are done. But it is a way Army could do it. And then most of the time, the player says, okay, fine, here's 6, 7, 8 teams or whatever that I would go to. Let me know, basically, because they'd rather go to an NHL city, an NHL team, than to be buried in the minors, because if nobody picks them up on waivers because of their contract is not good, then they play in the minors.
Right.
And no
veteran.
Then you can't leave.
Yeah.
It's like an island because you're not getting called back up. So it's not like you can be called back up, sent back down, waived again. People has another chance.
Right.
It's not, nobody's really lining up to trade for the guy that's playing in the minors.
Gotcha.
If they weren't going to trade for you before. Now, in all fairness, it might spark the player say, no, I'm not. Go ahead, waive me.
Right.
We'll see, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets to the minors, and then he says, okay, I'll take a trade now. And then somebody might be interested at that point. But it is the ultimate, bad boy move for the GM or the president of hockey ops to just say, we're going to waive you.
What if
Good
you're
luck.
not going to be the GM much longer, huh?
Sorry, Steiner. Deal with it. All right, we got the Sports Six-Pack coming up next, so your questions, please get them into 314-399-9646. We'll get into some of that next here on 101 ESPN.
BT here for Diamonds Direct, and they have made their incredible June offer even better. Right now, through the end of the month, when you make any purchase of $10,000 or more, you get a free diamond tennis bracelet. Are you serious? If you're thinking about popping the question or shopping for a big anniversary, there's no better time than right now over at Diamonds Direct. You get that perfect ring she's going to love, she's going to cherish forever, and you get a second gorgeous gift this June from Diamonds Direct for free. And a tennis bracelet is a big deal. I mean, that is a perfect wardrobe staple she's going to love. And getting one for free, it does not get any better than that. These bracelets are perfect, whether it's a birthday, an anniversary, or a wedding gift. They've got you covered over at Diamonds Direct. You better hurry up. This offer ends June 30th. Make any purchase of $10,000 or more and get a free Diamonds diamond bracelet. For the best quality, price, and shopping experience, there's no better place than Diamonds Direct. Check them out online. Go to diamondsdirect.com. At Olive and 270 at City Place, it's Diamonds Direct.
ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals picked up a victory last night against the Atlanta Braves, a 4-3 W. Tonight, they'll have Kyle Gibson going on the mound, going up against Ronaldo Lopez. First pitch is at 6:45. The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup. They defeated the Edmonton Oilers 2-1 in Game 7 last night. That is the Panthers' first Stanley Cup in franchise history. Connor McDavid won the Conn Smythe Trophy in a losing effort. If you've missed anything from today's show, including the Gauntlet, which was a doozy, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free 101 mobile app. Just head to the podcast page and you'll find all of our interviews and full shows there. And it's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We have our Sports Six-Pack coming up next. Let's get those sports questions in to the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Sports Six-Pack coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is now.
Well, it's a Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. It's been quite a day. We really appreciate all of your participation, especially right now. Sports Six-Pack.
Question number 1.
All right, let's start off with the 636. Jamie and Carey, did you listen to what sports talk stations/fans were saying about your team or you during your playing career? If you did it ever get to you?
Hell no, I didn't listen. If you're smart, you wouldn't either. If you're a current player, why would you listen to madness? People, talking about your play it's not like, here's the thing. If I had a bad game, it's not like I didn't watch the film and heard my coach tell me earlier that day. Like I sat there and waited for the moment where I messed up for 5 minutes, 5 plays ahead of that play, knowing it was coming. And then had to sit there and watch what I know I already did.
It's a great feeling.
It is the level.
You're like,
of,
is he going to play it? Is he going to play it? He's playing it.
The level of just anxiety that goes through you. So now I'm going to watch it in film. I know, A, I did it in the game. B, I got to watch it in film and hear my coach talk about it. C, I'm going to listen to some idiots on the radio talk about me and what I did. Hell no, I'm not listening to them. No.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Yeah, no, I never listened to the radio.
They just had you on the radio.
They had me on, but I was usually on in the morning with The Point way back when, and I didn't. Yeah, it just wasn't a thing. Like I knew that there were talk shows out there. I'm sure Randy's talked crap about me at some point. But I never paid attention, man.
I didn't either. I
just didn't.
It was for me, even if I was watching like SportsCenter and there was a segment about the team Steelers or whatever, I don't care. Like, because really, as an athlete, the opinion outside of that building shouldn't matter.
Yeah, it's about the guys on the field.
It's about the guys in the locker room. It's about the coaching staff, the people that work in that building, all of the people that are doing everything they can do to make this organization and the best product on the field, on the ice, on the court, whatever it is. And if you are so consumed with people that are not playing or no longer playing, then you probably got bigger problems, bigger fish to fry. Like, you should be focused on the task in front of you.
Question number 2.
This one comes from the Water Boy. I always see the handshake line at the end of a playoff series or the guys crossing the field after a football game to talk to players on the other team. What is being said during those handshakes and hugs on the field? Is it just the basic good game Anthony's team does, or is there more?
For the most part, like if you're on the winning side and you're shaking hands after a playoff series, you're very aware that the other team just lost, and it's just, you're very respectful.
Yeah.
And there are some guys that you go to war with as far as, sports terms are concerned. And those guys there, maybe you give them a little more.
Yeah.
And having been on the losing side, same thing. You just want to get through it. You just want to get to the locker room and be done with it because you're so ticked off or hurt or whatever it is. But there are times where if a guy played really well and beat us, you're shaking hands. You tell me, hey, man, great series. Or, hey, go get this one. You guys deserve it.
Yeah, I think playoffs is different than, you all don't shake hands after
Hell no.
A
what kind of a sport
game.
does that crap?
Well, we only got 16, 17 now. So we
week
do.
Schedule.
Yeah.
Okay. You said it.
After a regular season game, I normally, if I got teammates from college that I play with, you go and say hi to those guys, maybe take a picture, check on them, check on their family, see how they're doing. Playoffs is a little bit different because their hopes and dreams or your hopes and dreams are just crushed. And so now, I don't really care. I care how your family's doing, but I ain't got to go and lick my wounds. I'm sad about not being able to continue in the playoffs. So that's a little bit different. But I think normally for us, it was just going to find the guys that you were familiar with, or like you said, the linebacker, if I'm a fullback, that I competed against that was trying to shorten my neck and I was trying to cut his legs out, whatever the case may be, just showing respect and admiration for those guys.
Question number 3.
So, Jamie, we sort of talked about this earlier today before we hopped on the show. From the 214, would there be any, and I mean any, possibility the Blues could pull off a trade for Brady Tkachuk?
Tell us why, Jamie. Why it can happen. Don't tell us anything else.
Yeah. It ain't happening, guys.
No!
Sorry.
That's not what we want to hear.
No, listen, I would love to have him here in St. Louis. Are you kidding me? I'd love to have both of those guys. But the Ottawa Senators made a massive commitment to Brady Tkachuk financially and also by giving him the captaincy to wear. He is the face of the franchise. Like, when you think of the Ottawa Senators, that's what pops up. Is you see this gargantuan human that plays the game with reckless abandon, and he's very talented at the same time. The new owner is trying to build a winner there. They're not trading Brady Tkachuk. And even if they were, I don't know if you have enough to get him. Like, compared to other teams. There are teams that would give up everything for him and, start over. But and especially I said this to Marshy, now teams know that Matthew Tkachuk won the Cup. Everybody in the hockey world or anybody watching TV saw Brady at the game, saw Brady thrilled for his brother. Then you could see that there's like a hunger in his eye. Like, this is a motivated player now. And if I'm looking at that, I'm going, okay, he knows now what it looks like. Yeah. Not what it feels like, but he knows what it looks like. He wants to bring that to Ottawa.
To St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Louis. I feel like Ottawa's like an incompetent franchise.
Well, they were. They have been.
Yeah.
They have been.
I know they're transitioning into their new ownership group.
Yeah, they've got great people now. And Steve Stais made an unbelievable trade yesterday for Linus Ullmark from the Bruins. He got rid of Korpisalo's awful contract, traded a fourth liner, and gave up a draft pick for second. He had a Vezina Trophy 2 years ago. And his numbers were equal to Swayman, who's their number one. The only reason they kept Swayman is because he's 5 years younger. So Ottawa made a great deal. Tkachuk signed long-term. They're headed in the right direction. This is exactly why I don't think Brady Tkachuk would be available. So, all right, we got to what, 3 questions there?
We did.
We'll try to get through 3 more. We come back here on 101 ESPN. When it comes time to sell your home, you need a reliable experience and trusted agent. Take it from me and get to know St. Louis's real estate expert, Gloria Liu, with your home sold guaranteed realty. And here's why you should call Gloria Liu. She has the buyers. She has a database with thousands of buyers that are ready, willing, and able to purchase your home. And we know right now that getting a lot of traffic to your listing, that helps. Why does it help? Because now you get multiple offers involved, and hopefully you make more money when everything is done. And Gloria Liu also knows what to set your price at for your home. She'll sit down with you, agree upon a sales price, and then she will go out and she will sell your home for that price, or she buys it herself, and she puts all of that in handwriting. So there really is no reason to go anywhere else or even stop and think about it. Please call Gloria Liu, but you got to tell her that Jamie Rivers sent you in. And her number is 314-325-6888. Again, that's 314-325-6888. Or you can visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Conditions do apply. Gloria and the seller must agree upon the sales price and possession date.
question? It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is now.
We're back here in the Fast Lane, 101 ESPN, Sports Six-Pack. We've gone through 3 questions. Marshy, give us number 4.
Question number 4.
All right, this one comes from Thanks Dad. Did fans ever recognize you out in public, and do players generally enjoy being singled out in street clothes or left alone?
Depends on the player.
Depends on the situation.
Depends on who recognizes you.
That's right. That's what they look like. No, so
it's not wrong.
No, I know. When I even way back when, I can't imagine now how players can walk anywhere without being recognized. And because with so much availability through social media and just everybody knows what people look like now. When I first started in the NHL, like unless they were watching you on TV, or sometimes they didn't know what the hell you looked like.
Yeah.
Now, when you have somebody like Brett Hull as your teammate and you're out hanging out with Brett and Tony Twist and guys like that, people notice you very quickly.
Correct.
I don't mind. I never did. You know what? I always looked at it as like, this is a good thing. If they know who I am and they want to come and say hi, or they want to ask me a question, I'm good. I'm here for it, man.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, who am I to act like I don't like to be bothered? Now, sometimes, I will be honest, sometimes when you're out and somebody's had a few too many, they're feeling pretty good, and they don't get the vibe of like, hey, you're out with your girlfriend, or you're out with your kids, or you're out with somebody else, and they kind of stick around like way too long, then sometimes it can be cumbersome to kind of pry yourself away a little bit. But that's very rare that happens. People here in St. Louis are awesome. I have to tell you. And what's funny now is I get recognized more now than I did as a player. And my kids always laugh about it, and they think Dad's a dork. And, my dad's a dork. Why do people care? That's fine, guys. That's fine. Don't worry. I'll just keep paying the bills. You're fine. But yeah, no, I never have a problem with it. I like it. People are awesome here in St. Louis. They really are.
So when I was in Pittsburgh, obviously, it would be weird if you spoke. It was fine. But when people stare, like they're not sure, but they just are staring, it's a bit uncomfortable. It's like a fish in a fishbowl. Like
it's like you want to say yes, it's me.
Hi, hey, how are you? Like, but when you just stare, and I know they're not doing it intentionally, but they're just staring. Like, is that him? Is it not? I don't know, but they don't say a word. It can be a little bit awkward. Like, why in the hell are you staring at me?
I've had that happen.
Yeah, but yeah, I've gotten recognized. I remember I was at Quiznos buying a sandwich one day in Pittsburgh, and this guy came up to me like, "You look just like Carey Davis." I'm like, "Really? What does he look like?" You look like him. I'm like, nice to meet you. I'm Carey. You're not Carey. All right, buddy. Get the hell out of my face.
I had that happen too. Somebody said, anybody ever tell you look just like Jamie Rivers? And I was like, that guy's ugly. They're like, is it you? I'm like, yeah. It's kind of funny.
He didn't believe I was me. He was like, you're Carey Davis. All right. Thank you, sir. Enjoy my sandwich and go about my day.
Question number 5.
By the way, I miss Quiznos.
Oh, yeah.
I know, whatever.
I don't know. They used to have one in the Valley. I used to go there all the time after hockey.
Sandwich through there, get hot on you.
Somebody business-wise screwed that up because every time I went to a Quiznos, it was jammed.
Yes.
You get that hot sandwich going
you
through.
watch it go through. You should not have lost out the Subway. Like it was a battle right there. It was a competition.
Yeah. Somebody mismanaged that.
Yeah, it's not good.
By the way, I heard it was supposed to be 103 today. Is it not raining outside?
It doesn't mean it's not 103, Marshall.
Oh, that's got to be terrible.
Yeah. It's going to feel like a bowl of soup out there.
Oh, man. Thank goodness we're inside right now.
For now.
Although that thermostat likes to play games with us.
Oh, it's just for show.
It does its own thing.
Yeah.
Question number 5.
From the 618, always wondered this, CD. Do players get paid additional money for playoff games, or are they playing postseason for free?
You ain't playing for free. You do get paid. So your contract only runs during the season. So a lot of people don't know that. So from, let's say, September to December, when the season ends, that's when you get paid your contract. January, if you don't make the playoffs, see you next September.
You better
you
budget properly.
Right, you better, because you got about 8-9 months where you're not making money. But if you're in the playoffs, generally, when I was playing, first round was like $25,000 for every player, and it goes up per round. So if you're in the wild card, I think it was like 20, 25,000. The divisional game, 30, 40. Championship, AFC, NFC, about 45, 50. And then the Super Bowl winner was like 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does go up incrementally every time you advance to the next round.
Yeah, we were the same way. I forget the lower rounds, the first rounds weren't as much as what you're talking about, but the Stanley Cup final was almost $100,000 a guy
per player. Yep.
Per player.
Yep.
So now for some guys it's hilarious because that's a massive pay cut.
You're right.
It's a massive, like
I made this the last week.
I remember picking up a teammate's paycheck. This is in the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay. And every 2 weeks he was bringing in $242,000.
Listen.
Every 2 weeks. So spend a whole, like, how long are the playoffs this year? You get $100,000?
Yeah.
Like,
working backwards, ain't you? I'm working for free here.
Pretty much. That's how it felt for them.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest things to me. Like, we would all, whoever, you know who signed the massive contracts in the offseason. So when we got our first check, let me see your check. Oh my God. You gonna get this every 2 weeks?
Oh yeah.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah. When it was quite eye-opening when, early in my career, but then even later on in my career when guys were starting to make really big money. I remember like Nick Lidstrom was making $10 million a year.
Yeah. I
was like, super Swede. That's like, hey, super Swede.
Yeah.
Let me just see the check.
I just want to look at it.
Just see the check. Because there's only 16 weeks or 16 paychecks.
That's what you
got weeks.
8. We got 8, 9 checks.
Yeah, so we got 16 checks. So imagine, do the math, right?
Yeah.
Oh, every 2 weeks you get this Swede?
You go look at Ben's check. Like, let me see what you got. Ooh, ew.
It was fun, yet at the same time, like, humiliating.
I got work to do.
Question number 6.
From the 618. Yeah, it's really coming down right
Flying
now.
out there. Drive
Everybody,
safe out there,
seriously. By the way, apparently there's a Quiznos in Edwardsville. So if we ever want to get some, we know where to go.
Edwardsville?
Edwardsville.
Edwardsville's pretty. It really is.
I need some Quiznos.
Really nice homes up there, some good restaurants.
You want to order some Quiznos?
Can we DoorDash it from Edwards?
I don't know. If you're at the Quiznos in Edwardsville, we're thinking about you.
Yeah.
Or any Quiznos in the St. Louis area.
Yeah, if you still exist anywhere in the St. Louis area.
It's like a steak and shake. They're just kind of hard to find these days.
That's unfortunate, too.
It really is. It really is. Okay, so the final question from the 618. When was the last time you remember seeing a team that was just that gassed from giving it all and come up short? It reminded the 618 of the Blues against the Sharks in the Bacchus days.
Yeah, it happens, man. Like, to win a Stanley Cup is grueling. Like, think about this. It's like if you 5, 6, 7 game series, and the physicality of it, and not even the physicality, just the physical demands of it. I mean, it wears on teams, and you think of, David Bacchus and those guys that were completely worn down, and the Sharks took that series. Let's go back to where the Blues did the same thing to the Sharks in 2019. The Sharks couldn't even put a friggin' team out there. It barely had any bodies left. So, yeah, it's tough, man. The demands of playing in the playoffs and trying to keep your energy levels high and healthy. That's part of the talent for a team is staying healthy.
Yeah. If you can, and staying, like, just being able to make it that long. Like, you talk about hockey, how grueling it is to possibly play 2 or 3 7-game series and still have enough gas left in the tank to try to win a Stanley Cup. That's difficult. Like, we do joke, playing football once a week, it's hard.
It sucks.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. But if I had to play 7 games 2 times in the Stanley Cup playoffs, Matthew Tkachuk said, we played 106 games. Like, sounds like a lot, buddy.
Dummies.
Sounds like a lot to me. So, yeah, it is grueling, and it boils down to which team. At that point, it's not physical anymore. It's mental. Like, it's not about how in shape you are because you can't get in better shape. It's how much are you willing to not, succumb to the pressure or just fail and fade away because you are mentally and physically tired. And the championship teams find a way to finish it.
They do.
Because everybody's tired at that point.
The next couple of days, you're going to hear, too, about the injuries that the Oilers players were going through, the Panthers players are going through, and usually it's eye-opening.
Yeah.
Usually, what?
That leg is purple and blue and been that way for 3-4 days. Yeah.
No wonder that guy was playing bad.
You stink. No, I almost died.
So it is grueling, and certainly football and hockey with the physicality of those two sports. It can be very difficult for the players. All right, that's your sports six-pack. We asked you for mic drops. We're going to hit those next here, but just to recap it, if you want to leave a mic drop, there's still time. But we talked earlier today about Goldschmidt and Arenado being out of the lineup. And we asked you, how did you feel about that? In fact, the full question is, how did you feel about not having Goldschmidt or Nolan Arenado in the lineup? We want your feelings on that coming up next here on 101 ESPN.
here. It's real simple, boys. Did we win the ball game? I don't care who's playing. There's really nothing crazy exciting about this Cardinal baseball team right now. So W's, those are really exciting. I don't care who's playing. Cardinal Nation, be happy. Be happy with W's.
All right, that's our guy Chuck right there. Appreciate the mic drop. It's a fast lane here on 101 ESPN. Carey Davis, Andrew Marsh, Jamie Rivers. And Carey, I would push back a little bit here on Chuck with the fact that I think the Cardinals are playing a more exciting brand of baseball lately.
I agree. We talked about the excitement that Mason Wynn has brought. You're seeing Alec Burleson, Brendan Donovan. You're seeing those guys have fun, play the game. And we even heard Nolan Arenado talking about Mason Wynn, how he's chirping when he good play. All right, do it. You know, he's talking the entire
ball
game.
Of energy.
When you're young, and Nolan like, I forgot that yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what you should be doing,
I
right?
remember this game's supposed to be fun.
So I think you're starting to see a team that is exciting, that is having more fun at the ballpark, which usually results in more wins. Like when you're just going through it and it's kind of just you're dragging along, it's not fun, no one's excited, and it's hard to build up that excitement to have fun and win games. So I think right now they are having fun, they are winning games, and they're playing really well. Defensively, they've been playing well. The pitching has been really good, and the hitting has been good enough. I think there's still room for improvement there, but you know, hopefully everybody is healthy, stays healthy, and you can keep going.
All right, so we asked for your mic drops, and the question is, how did you feel about not having Goldschmidt or Arenado in the lineup? We got Alec up next.
I can't believe I'm saying it because it hurts not having Goldie and Arenado in there just because I like the guys so much and they care so much about baseball and winning. But the Cardinals are seemingly at least equal, if not better, with them not being in the lineup. And at some point, the Cardinals are going to have to make a very tough decision. For example, Burleson is our best hitter, and he can play first base next year, and he's not going to cost as much as Goldie might cost. When do the Cardinals make that decision? Is it something they potentially even make at the deadline? Are there teams out there willing to pay up a little bit for Goldie and a resurgence there? Same thing with Arenado. He's got a lot more time left, but you always know that if he's available, the Dodgers will probably come knocking. And you've got young players that can fill in at third base. Nolan Gorman. Would the Cardinals even potentially entertain Jordan Walker there if he's able to get back on track? Maybe. But, you know, it sucks not having them produce even at, you know, close to their career norms. But at the end of the day, we as fans want to see a winning product regardless of who's on the field. So give us that winning product, and it's seeming to be the young guys going out there and playing hard and getting the W's.
All right, thank you, Alec, for that really good, well thought out, articulated mic drop. Mm-hmm. It is interesting to contemplate life without Goldie. And I think that one's probably more realistic. If you look at, like, a lot of people have already made the marriage of Goldie going to the Yankees because Rizzo out at first base, Goldie with a full no-trade clause. He probably would waive that to go to the Yankees, who look like they're going to be a contender this year. What do you get in return? I think that's the biggest thing is, you know, how do you pry something away from the Yankees? It would have to be a prospect-type player because the Yankees are going to part with anything that's helping them win currently. It's going to be something for the future. And I think that that's where it gets tricky, but I also do feel like you've got other guys that can step in next year. And when they brought up Burleson, Burley is nowhere near Goldie when it comes to the Gold Glove defense. But he's pretty good at first base, but he's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Lot cheaper.
Much cheaper.
If you move on from Goldie, hypothetically, and you replace Goldie's salary, which is, what is it, $25 million this year? Or is it 20? I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
You could take that money, the difference in money, and go get a pitcher. Go get a stud.
I think the important thing to remember, and we get so caught up in, a player's legacy. You don't trade star players. You don't not re-sign star players. Albert didn't resign. You let him walk. Joe Montana played for the Kansas City Chiefs. Like Peyton Manning played for the Denver Broncos,
Won a
championship. But I'm saying
single-handedly.
Well, that one he actually did it with defense, and he couldn't throw the ball past 15 yards then.
Good place.
But I think it's important to remember that even star players at times move on, and so as an organization, your fan base may not want that player to leave. They may not want that star player to go elsewhere and possibly have success. But you have to do what's best for the organization and for the franchise. And if you're talking about a player in Alec Burleson who is not going to cost you as much, who is as effective or maybe more effective right now at this point in his career versus where Paul Goldschmidt is, then you have to do what's best for the organization. And if that means not re-signing Paul Goldschmidt at the end of the year, then that's the decision that you make. And then you also look at Nolan Arenado and say, hey, I mean, what is the best solution for this team going forward? Is it trading him at the trade deadline if we are not having success or not playing in the way that we think can win us a championship and we can get something in return for it? Those are those are the tough decisions that people have to make. I mean, I'm looking at the Golden State Warriors right now, and Bob Myers, the former GM, resigned because I don't want to
deal with this.
I don't have to decide if Clay needs to make 30, 40 million again next year. I'm going to just go do media instead of having to make these tough decisions. And I'm not sure if that's the reason, but I'm sure that weighed into it because those are tough decisions when you have superstar players, whether or not to resign them. Are they past their prime? Are they still good enough to get the job done? Or is there someone younger that can get the job done for cheaper? And that's essentially what it all boils down to.
All right, next up, we got David on this situation.
I think part of it, too, is not just the production, but if you watch Mason win, he looks like a kid who's having fun. He's got a little swagger. Same with Burleson. Obviously, he's having fun. He just seems like a nutty dude. Newt, when he's there. Donovan and Gorman are pretty serious, but even Donovan has got some flair with the headband, the hair flying, but it just, and I think, Arenado and Goldschmidt have been great, but both of them are just and they're probably great guys. But on the field, this looks like they're uptight. Nobody's having any fun. They're machines, blah, blah, blah. So, anyway.
That was David. Thank you for the mic drop. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. The perception, like David said, is like they're not having any fun. We don't know them personally. I don't know Paul Goldschmidt. I've never sat down and had a beer with Nolan Arenado. Would I? Sure. Yeah, I would. Yeah. But I just don't know. I don't know how they are.
What makes them tick?
You don't know if that's the way they're wired or if that makes them like aloof to the group. And again, I can't speak to it because I don't know enough about it. But other people picking up on it.
Every player and every person is different. Like we've had teammates that are the life of the party. Like this guy, he's a great guy to be around and a great player. He's nuts. And then you got some guys that are very good, but not, just so dedicated to their craft that there is no room for anything else. And so it varies from person to person. That doesn't make you not a good teammate. That doesn't make you a bad person. But, if you're different, it just makes you different. Mm-hmm. But if you are a leader of a team, sometimes that needs to that part of you that needs to be able to be open and again, we don't know if they are or they aren't.
Just what we see.
It just feels that way. And if it's evident watching it on games and watching interviews and things of that nature, maybe that's what it is, and maybe it's not. We don't know, but it feels that way for a lot of people.
I agree. All right, we got one more here. Last one. Let's get to Clyde.
Could it be that Goldie and Arenado didn't come up in the Cardinal organization, and these younger guys have come up in the Cardinal organization as minor leaguers, and therefore they have more of the Cardinal way, and it's harder for older veterans that have come from other teams to fall into that automatically without someone to lead them into that? Just a thought.
That's a really good thought, and thank you, Clyde, for the mic drop. There's something to be said, and maybe the Cardinals haven't lost the Cardinal way. Maybe they've just brought in too much outside influence. Because when you look at this last wave of young players, like the Gormans, Donovan, Edman, Newbar, like these guys are all kind of now the Cardinal way. To our earlier point today, Carey, we talked about, is that a problem? It's not that Goldie and Arenado aren't leaders, or they're not really good people, or they're not quality baseball players. But they've been thrown into what we call the Cardinal Way.
Right.
They didn't get drafted, nor did they develop in the Cardinal system. So Clyde brings up an interesting point there. Maybe they have their own version, and this is what we've been talking about. What is the new version of the Cardinal Way? Maybe it's their version of it.
Right.
So maybe Mo and maybe these guys are doing a good job right now when they're drafting these young players, because every one of these young players that we're talking about, I've collectively agreed that we enjoy watching them play baseball. Right. So if that's the case, then maybe we're not as far off as we thought we were.
I agree. I think these young players are exciting to watch, and they do have kind of a mindset or a mode or understanding of the Cardinal Way. And like I said, hopefully they can – I think the best part for me, if I were to see Nolan Arenado show some type of emotion and with his teammates, or see Paul Goldschmidt doing something that is out of character, just because when you get older and you have younger guys, they make you feel young again. So if you see that from them, it doesn't have to be all the time, but just seeing it, I think would help that team. It would help those younger players and let them feel like we're all on the same page and all, just one of the guys.
What's funny about that, Carey, too, and you know this, is when the old guy that isn't the exciting guy does something funny.
Yes.
Like, so if Paul Goldschmidt gets a double, let's say, and he breaks out a dance or something that's like from the clubhouse, it's like an inside dance, like one of the guys who does a dance, and Goldie's out there and does a little dance. The young guys will lose their mind.
Yes, they will. They will.
They'd be, oh, look at Goldie. And then we'd all be talking about, what the hell was that? And they would know.
But they know.
It would mean something to them. So it's funny how that works. Either way, the Cardinals playing very good baseball here recently. 4 games in a row. Got another one tonight against the Braves. Hopefully they keep this going. And hopefully Goldie and Arenado find their game, because the Cardinals will be that much better with them playing really good baseball. So the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup last night. I want to get into how they built this team next here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Fast Lane here at 101 ESPN. Watching the Florida Panthers play last night and watching the Vegas Golden Knights the year before, Tampa Bay Lightning, your St. Louis Blues in 2019. How did it change my thoughts on where the Blues are right now? Well, you look at those teams, guys, and they're built from the goalposts out. Solid defensive core, good goaltending, and a forward group that's dedicated to playing 200-foot game. All of them. Even your star players. In fact, Barkov is your best one. Matthew Tkachuk plays both ends of the ice. They're dedicated to playing the game the right way. Well, I'm not the only one who has these thoughts. A lot of other people have been saying it throughout the playoffs, but PK Subban was on the Pat McAfee show, I believe is what it was, and he was asked about it, and here's what PK Subban said about, you're building your defense core and winning championships.
Sergei Bobrovsky has been the best defensive player on the best defensive team the past 2 seasons. The Florida Panthers have been the best defensive team and the hardest team to play against the past 2 years, and he's a big part of that. This guy, as great as Florida is, he covered up a lot of mistakes. He plugged a lot of holes for that team. And I think what we saw in the latter part of the Stanley Cup final was him just mentally and physically exhausted. And I'm going to tell you, this whole clip here is like the season in a nutshell for them. It's desperation. These guys blocked a ton of shots. They sacrificed their body. They played the right way. I mean, that's Vladimir Tarasenko at the top of your screen there, who is a superstar, has won a Stanley Cup for St. Louis, had scored goals. Guys would kill to have the skill that guy has. But everything that you're seeing in this clip has nothing to do with skill. It has to do with heart, will, and, those guys laid it all on the line. They emptied the tank last night, and that's who they are in a nutshell. They had to get back to their identity, and that's defense first. But it starts with Bob, and Bob was phenomenal.
Again, that's PK Subban on the Pat McAfee show. And I know you guys have heard me talk about this stuff. And I know that as a group, we've agreed about this exact thing. The goaltender, the defense, and then playing defense of hockey takes no talent. It takes will and desire and a willingness to be punished, basically.
I was watching that game last night, and the thing that jumped out to me, there were, I think, 2 or 3 times where you had 2 or 3 other people other than Bob in the net trying to block a shot. Like, we are not.
Mr. Reinen had the kick save of the night.
They were all in the net together. Like, I don't give a damn how we keep this puck out. It is not going in. And then it took me back to Game 5 where Matthew Tkachuk sold out, just gave everything he had to keep a puck from going in the empty net. Like, that was the identity of that Florida Panthers team. Like, all in this together, no matter how we have to do it, we're going to find a way to win. And I think teams like that endear, fans love. It's not about the talent. We understand, guys, the thing, and we talked about this a couple of days ago, the thing that separates players, like, I think Marshy brought this up. Like, what is about Connor McDavid versus Matthew Tkachuk? It's Connor McDavid can do things that you can't even dream of doing, but we all can envision ourselves, if it's the Stanley Cup on the line, standing there in front of a slap shot if need be to keep it from going in the net, to help our goalie to keep him from getting scored on. And I think that's the thing that the Panthers brought that the Oilers didn't have. Like, that's the one thing that they didn't have. And so you're watching this Florida Panthers team, and when you take it to the St. Louis Blues, you're saying, like you just said, that's not talent. That's just effort. That's just will, and that's just grit. Are you willing to do that more times than not to get a win? And if you are, you're probably going to have a good team. You're going to have an aggressive team and a team that wins a lot of games.
So the Panthers shut down Connor McDavid in Game 6 and Game 7. So you're probably thinking to yourself, man, their blue line, they must have spent millions of dollars on that blue line.
Oh, they had to have. Jamie, he's the best player in the world.
Yep. Here's how the Florida Panthers and Bill Zito rebuilt their team. Let's start up front first. He had Jonathan Huberdeau, that was a 115-point player, and he had Mackenzie Weegar, that was part of his top 2 pairing. Traded both of those guys and brought in Matthew Tkachuk. bit of a risk at first. On the surface, you're like, well, even some people thought, man, Calgary maybe won that deal. Wrong. Wrong. Bill Zito had a clear vision of what he wanted this team to be, and he knew that Matthew Tkachuk embodied that. So that was the big move up front. They went and got some other guys too, Verhaeghe and guys like that were really big difference makers. But on defense, Aaron Ekblad was a first overall pick. The Blues aren't going to be able to do that here in the next, hopefully in a long time, because they won't be bad enough. Yeah.
What about Colton? And hear me out here. Obviously, Aaron Ekblad is older. I'm going to say Colton Parayko. The way that he plays the game, you would not think that he was drafted where he was drafted.
No, I agree.
So could he fill that position of Aaron Ekblad?
Absolutely.
I think he might be better than Aaron Ekblad.
I think he is too, quite honestly. I'm just saying he was a first overall pick.
Right. So I think if we're going down the line, I think that one, we can check that box.
That might be the only one. That's probably the only one. So Gustav Forsling, who is now part of the best shutdown tandem in the NHL, you're probably thinking to yourself, he must have been a first overall pick, or they must have signed him for huge money. Wrong. They picked him up off waivers. I believe the Chicago Blackhawks waived him, and the Florida Panthers picked him up. So off waivers, you've got now what people are calling maybe the best shutdown defenseman in the NHL. Then Brandon Montour was in Anaheim. Well, Anaheim didn't have room for him and some of the other defensemen, so they traded him to the Panthers for a third-round pick. Good pickup, I'd say. Kulikov was an older guy, signed as a free agent for $1 million. Good pickup. Oliver Ekman-Larsson was bought out by the Vancouver Canucks, so the Florida Panthers swooped in and gave him $2.25 for the year. And last but not least, Nico Mikkola, a UFA, signed a 3-year deal, $2.5 million a year. He was with the Rangers, and obviously we know Mikkola from his time here with the Blues. Guys, that defensive core is not impossible to replicate. Army can do all these things. Now, the waiver claim's tough. You're not going to, ordinarily you don't find a guy like Forsling just dangling out on waivers. But the rest of it, you can find a Brandon Montour for a third round. You can sign a Kulikov. Kulikov, to me, would be if you brought back Joel Edmondson on a 1-year, $1 million contract. Ekman-Larsson's another guy. You can duplicate that. In fact, I think you have him in Nick Leddy. And then Nico Mikkola, again, it's a big guy that, I don't think you have a guy like that right now as far as his sheer size is concerned. But that defensive core is not hard to replicate. You just have to get creative, and you have to have good scouting staff to pull it off. So Bill Zito and his staff ending up being this defensive juggernaut, they basically pieced it together with other people's puzzle pieces and made it their own.
Found a way to make it happen, and found some guys that had some grit and some will and some want to get the job done.
Hunger. Yeah. The one thing the Panthers did is they didn't just identify players that were good players. They identified what a Florida Panther player is.
I was listening to something earlier, and they were talking about when Matthew Tkachuk got there. Obviously, Barkov was already the captain, and already, but Matthew just kind of filled into that role, and guys started paying attention to him and talking
migrated to him immediately.
Yeah, even though he's didn't have the C on his sweater, but people were he just kind of had that personality where everybody was willing to buy in, but it also because he was willing to buy in, right? When you know you're not the captain, but you respect the C for another player, but you are also a leader on the team. You don't have to necessarily be named captain to be a leader on the team, and I think that helps as well. When you have multiple guys that have captain leadership qualities, that helps a team be a championship team.
Yeah.
I think certain players have auras about them.
Yeah.
Where they might not be the best player in the sport. They might not even be the best player on their team. But they have a certain aura about them where people gravitate towards them. I think of the Cardinals. I think of Mason Wynn. I think he's one of those guys. He's exciting to watch. He's a leader. He's a young guy. He has a lot of energy. He's one of those guys that I think has an aura on the Cardinals. I don't know who that is on the Blues.
Jake Neighbors.
Jake Neighbors could be that guy emerging as having that sort of aura, but Matthew Tkachuk absolutely has it.
He does. And Sasha Barkov said it like 2 months into the season last year. He said when Matthew Tkachuk got here, everything changed. He just said just the way he came in and the standard that he set, how hard he practices, how he treats everybody, the trainers, the travel staff. Like, you talk about the Cardinal Way. The Panthers have a way now, too. The Panthers have an identity, and it all started because Bill Zito.
Barry's brother.
Yes, clearly. No, cousin, actually. Bill Zito had a vision of what he thought this team needed. He went and got Paul Maurice, pulled him out of retirement, basically, brought him down there, and then they went and got Matthew Tkachuk, and then from there they have built this team from the ground up, and now they're Stanley Cup champions.
Can one player do that for the Blues?
Yeah, if we go get Matthew Tkachuk.
Oh, nice.
It's the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Beat the streak. Biggest question of the day coming up next. Fellas, are you currently using ED meds? Well, you're probably paying too much for those ED meds. That's where the Medicine Shop in St. Charles, they are your destination for cheap ED meds. They got a generic called sildenafil for less than $2 a pill. It's a fantastic deal. Of course, prescriptions are required for that. And the facility over there in St. Charles is awesome. You walk in and the pharmacists and the employees over there, they love to help out. If you have any questions that you might just be wondering about, maybe it's cold and flu, allergies are certainly a huge thing, talk to them. They're going to give you the best answers possible. You're going to make sure you leave there completely satisfied, and they're always wanting to help. And another thing that the Medicine Shop has going on right now, forever actually, is free discreet shipping and delivery of any medicines that you take on a regular basis, and they'll deliver that to your home or your workplace. It's a fantastic program. I take full advantage of it, especially if I have a busy schedule, kids with crazy stuff after school or during the summer, whatever it is, the pharmacy will come to you, and I absolutely love that program. So please take a minute and visit them in person, but if not, at least get there online, and that's at stcharles.medicineshop.com. Again, that's stcharles.medicineshop.com.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals win last night by a final score of 4-3. They'll look to take down the Braves once again as Kyle Gibson will take the mound. Going up against Ronaldo Lopez. First pitch is at 6:45. If you missed anything from today's show, including our coverage of last night's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup as the Florida Panthers won 2-1 over the Edmonton Oilers, make sure you go to the 101 ESPN website or check out the free 101 mobile app. You can head to the podcast page. You'll find all of our interviews and full shows there, and it's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We have Beat the Streak, and biggest question of the day coming up next. Carey Davis has tied Anthony Stalter for the longest streak in Fastlane history. 13 hits in a row. Will history be made tonight? We shall find out with Beat the Streak coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Hit baseballs. All of my successes depend on me.
You're ready to hit.
The hits just keep on coming.
And his first big league hit is a bullet up the middle.
All right, Fastlane here on 101 ESPN. Time for Beat the Streak, guys. Where are we at? We got Carey at a monumental number. Carey, you'll do it for sure.
Yeah. This is huge. This is a huge night for Carey. So obviously, Carey, you're going first.
Too.
Yeah.
Brian is still with us. Brian
I hope so.
Is on the line. He has a streak of 3, and this is after we had a lot of listeners going 0 for gopher every night. So Brian has definitely reclaimed that spot for the listeners. His streak is at 3. I am at 4. Jamie, Nolan Gorman came through for you last night. You're back to 1. And Anthony Stalter, who's not here with us, did not get a hit with Ozzie Albies.
So we got our guy on the line right now?
Brian is with us right now.
All right, Brian, how we doing, bud?
Doing good. How you guys doing?
We're good, man.
Great.
We're good. All right, we're going to get this party started with our guy, Carey Davis.
All right, well, yeah, I'm looking. Matt Olson does pretty well against old Gibby. Give me Mason Wynn. We're going to ride this horse till we're just going to keep going. He's a good player.
Yeah.
Good guy. Keep going. Got to keep going.
All right.
Keep hitting Mason.
I'm going to take the guy who bats right after him, and that would be Alec Burleson.
Not a bad pick at all.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. All right. Is it Brian now?
Brian is up next.
All right. Brian, go ahead.
Hi, Matt Olson.
Yeah.
Good pick.
It's a good pick.
Carey, you were scaring me there. I was like, don't do it.
I was going to, but Mason Wynn has been providing some helping me with this streak here. And,
Yeah,
Anthony,
Matt Olson's like been 417 against him, so.
All right. So I'm going with Marcell Ozuna. What's Anthony got?
So Anthony actually had Marcell Ozuna as his number 1 pick, and he stole it.
Sorry, Anthony.
Second pick goes to Austin Riley. So Austin Riley is Anthony's pick for Beat the Streak.
All right, there you have it. And we'll see how that works out tonight. And hopefully we're right back here tomorrow, Brian.
All right, sounds good.
All right,
good
luck.
Have a good one.
Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, Marshy, time for biggest question of the day.
It's time for the Fast Lane's biggest question of the day.
I had a question in my head I was going to bring up, but...
ask.
It's been a day. You're in a safe place.
It's been a hell of a day.
We've said some things today.
Well, I was going to bring that up, but let's talk about Wilson Contreras. Obviously, he's back in the lineup.
Yeah.
Had a nice night last night. Mm-hmm. What did you think of him, and are you surprised to see that he is catching 2 days in a row?
Well, I don't know if I'm surprised. I think, if you broke your arm and you're healed now, and it was a freak accident. Like, I don't think it's something that, hopefully not gonna will happen again. So I think he's okay as long as his body feels good, his arm feels good, legs feel good, mind is good. He should play every day. And I mean, at this point, you've been waiting on him to come back because Herrera was good at the plate, but not so good behind the plate with runners, stealing at will. Paez, good behind the plate, but maybe lacking a little bit at the plate. Wilson is the best of both worlds. So you get your all-star catcher back, and he provides some pop and allows your lineup to be what they need to be.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Contreras probably gets the day off tomorrow. I think he's your DH tomorrow. I think I don't think they'll bury him 3 games in a row. Who knows? If he feels great, maybe he does.
You let him play.
I let him play.
Just keep playing.
He wants. I'm not taking him out of the lineup. I'm just making sure his bat continue to play. But yeah, so having Wilson Contreras back, obviously it's been 1 game. It's not like he's, we can't tell if he's right back to where he began or not. But he adds an element to your team that is great because the other guys that were in your middle of your lineup, we've talked about it today. They haven't had that pop. So if Wilson Contreras can add that pop or continue to bring that, it's a huge plus for your team. And I like his attitude. I like his energy in the lineup. And people don't run on him.
No.
He's got a cannon for an arm.
Yeah. He loves playing the game, too.
He does.
You can tell.
He does.
There are guys, and not saying that some guys don't love playing, but you can tell when some guys really love what they do for a living. And I watching him play, I get excited watching him play because I know he loves playing the game.
Hey, he's a passionate guy.
Yeah.
He wears his emotions on the sleeve a little bit, and I think that guys like that.
And you got to have a guy or two on your team that'll punch somebody in the face.
You certainly do.
I'm a firm believer in that. Like, not a whole team of them because that's bad. But at least 1 or 2 guys that you might punch somebody in the face.
Yeah.
You got every sport.
It's good to keep them on their toes.
Not for Little League when you get older, professional. Just trying to. Don't want these young players going and punching people in the face.
No.
Even the older players, just the threat of actually doing it usually is sufficient.
You're really trying to back out of this one now, aren't you?
I'm just telling you. I was one of those guys.
Let the kids play, Carey.
Maybe headbutt?
Oh,
No?
Don't headbutt.
I saw a soccer player do that in the World Cup when I was a child.
I saw Pavel Buchnevich do that first season with the Blues.
I think it was the second game ever.
There's a quick poof. I was like, what the hell? Who the hell is
He's a
this
hell of
guy?
a
Get out of the way.
I
Don't
didn't
put your
hate it.
face there then if you don't want to get headbutted.
I didn't hate it, that's for sure.
I'm okay with it.
All right, it's the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. By the way, this Thursday, join me and Stella Artois, 101 ESPN over at Cyberg's in Maryland Heights. I'll be there from 6 to 8 p.m. Stella Artois is partnering with Hot Ones to bring hot wings and hot trivia questions to St. Louis. Do you want to compete in the trivia? Visit Cyberg's now to find out how to sign up, how to participate in the competition, or just come hang out, watch the festivities this Thursday, and enjoy some free Stella samplings and your chance at attendance prizes. Again, that's this Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. with me over at Cyberg's in Maryland Heights. Get more info at 101ESPN.com. All right, it's that time of day. We're rolling it back here. We've got criticisms, compliments, bet the board, all that fun stuff next here on 101 ESPN. Fast Lane here at 101 ESPN. Talked about a lot of stuff here today. Talked about the Florida Panthers and Matthew Tkachuk winning their first Stanley Cup. We also had a great conversation about Goldschmidt and Arenado and how you, the listeners, felt about not having them in the lineup last night. If it bothered you, if it didn't, if you think the team is fine without them. We also talked a little bit about the outfield for the St. Louis Cardinals. What does it look like when everybody gets healthy? And, of course, we talked about the Blues and where they rank as a defensive core in the NHL and how much the Athletic hates them. All right, Marshy, bet the board time here. I'm back on the board.
You are. You have ended your losing streak. You were 9-6. You started off 9-0. You lost 6 in a row. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you lose 6 in a row. Sometimes you lose 3 in a row. But it matters what happens next. You got the win thanks to the Florida Panthers. You're still in first place, 10-6. Anthony is 8-8. Carey is 7-8-1. I know he hates the 1.
I do.
And I am 7-9.
It's tight now. It's bottlenecking on us.
This is the last week.
You're 10-6?
10-6. Yeah.
All right, I still got a chance.
You do, Carey.
You gotta lose.
We have to win out.
I have to win out. I have to start just at least going 500. I got to be like Cardinals baseball.
Wow.
Well,
Hey,
3 games
for the
above
last-
500. Yeah.
They 4-0 in their
Are they
last
4-0?
4.
Yeah, they're winning streak.
4 games.
All right.
4-0 in their last 4.
Well, I'm going to the Cardinals game tonight for my play.
Oh, here we go. We're back
Total
on that.
bases. Nolan Gorman, 0.5. The over is at -115.
There you go.
I'll take Nolan Gorman,
All right.
please.
Good luck to you.
You don't mean it.
I don't.
I know, I can tell.
No, I wish you well.
No, you don't.
I do.
I don't know about that.
All right.
It looks like Anthony is taking the Blue Jays Red Sox over. He's taking the over in that game.
All righty. Give me the New York Yankees -144. Garrett Cole on the ball.
Who they playing?
The Mets.
Oh, that's a good play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I can't take Bob anymore. Not that I would, because it
worked out really well for you.
4. For gopher on that one. I am going to take. Wow, this is something. I'm going to take the Minnesota Lynx tonight over the New York Liberty.
Oh.
The last time these two teams faced off, looks like the Lynx got the best of the Liberty, and they are on a heater right now. That is Minnesota. So give me the Lynx. I'm going back to WNBA. I need some victories this week.
Carey, you actually
we're going
have to
to the
check the
W.
result.
No,
on this.
I'm looking. I went to the money line. They are +198, so he is taking a gamble.
Yeah. But we have to just make sure, because Marshall just come in and tell us tomorrow, yeah, they won.
We watched the. We watched those
talking
games. We watch. We pay attention.
Good one. All right, good one.
Sabrina Ionescu in chief with the Liberty.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
I know my WNBA.
I do too.
Show off.
I'm talking about.
All right. Criticisms, compliments, 3 stars, all that stuff.
All right, we got a text from Pete from Freeburg earlier in the day. We were talking about some stuff, and he said, y'all, I almost wrecked. Almost wrecked his car.
Oh, no.
Must have been laughing.
Be safe.
Well, if you missed that conversation, along with all the other conversations, you can go back, download the podcast. You'll definitely want to listen to today's episode. You can find that at 101ESPN.com or the mobile app, brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto.
We got a text from John. Great show, gentlemen. You guys carry well on your own. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for listening. Appreciate that.
The 217 asked the Brady Tkachuk question, and there was a follow-up saying, thanks for taking my question. I listen every day to and from work in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The past 5 years, keep up the great work. I agree with a lot you say. Some of what you say drives me nuts. You don't sugarcoat your opinions or blow sunshine up everyone's behinds. That's why I love listening to the Fast Lane, especially if Jamie is telling Brett Hull stories.
Oh, yes.
And you don't want sunshine blowing anywhere.
Nah.
I don't think. I don't know.
I don't think so. Let's get to our 3 stars of the day. You guys might as well just keep laughing. From a lot of our texters, they were saying that they wanted the third star to be Quiznos today.
Oh, yes.
Quiznos.
If you got a Quiznos.
Shout out to Quiznos, especially the one in Edwardsville.
Yes.
But if you are still
Any
around,
Quiznos.
Yeah.
If there's another Quiznos, somebody let us know,
Let us
man.
know where.
Now I'm craving it.
I might stop by one. I won't go to Edwardsville. That's the wrong way.
It's the other way for me, too.
Our second star of the day goes out to a great faux Candyland character, Buster Nutt.
Yes. Yes, Carey, well said.
Oh, man.
One of the options, by the way.
Yeah.
One of
the options.
The Gauntlet, of course.
Really?
In the first star of the day, I mean, it was no contest. It goes to Morning Grip or Sleepy Hands.
If you wake up with the morning grip, I want you to think of Martian right away.
Always.
All right, we appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back here tomorrow from 2 to 6. Until then, stay safe, drive safely, and we'll see you tomorrow.